Somewhere, tucked inside a forgotten coffee can, pressed between the pages of a leather-bound ledger, or entombed in a vinyl flip within a safety deposit box, there lies a single copper disc that doesn't look like much. It weighs exactly 3.11 grams. Its edges are worn soft by decades of human touch. But this coin is a time machine. It is a paradox of sight and metal. And if you are the one holding the right version of it, you are not holding pocket change. You are holding a retirement fund. You are holding the key to a debt-free existence. You are holding the 1964 D. Lincoln cent with the fabled missing mint mark, a coin that has shattered auction records and currently commands a verified market value hovering around $999,000. I want you to pause for just a moment and let that number sink in. Not 100,000. Not $500,000. $999,000. That's the price of a pristine coastal condo, a collection of luxury vehicles, or pure, unadulterated financial oxygen. And the terrifying, exhilarating truth is this: there is a high statistical probability that this exact coin is sitting right now within 3 miles of where you are currently seated. The United States Mint didn't destroy it. It escaped. And it has been hiding in plain sight for over 60 years, masquerading as ordinary brown wheatless currency, waiting for you to stop scrolling and start looking. The story begins not in a mint, but in the shadow of a national tragedy. November 22, 1963. The world stops. President John F. Kennedy is assassinated in Dallas. The grief that washes over the nation is immediate and suffocating. In the aftermath, the United States Treasury and the Mint find themselves under a sudden, crushing pressure to immortalize the fallen leader. The beloved Franklin $50 is violently ejected from production. In its place, a rush order is issued for a new coin, the Kennedy $50. But here is where the ripple effect begins. To feed the ravenous demand for the silver Kennedy coin, the Denver Mint, the very facility denoted by your little D mint mark, had to push its machinery, its dies, and its human beings to the absolute breaking point. The entire focus of the institution shifted. The penny, the humble workhorse of the economy, became an afterthought. And in that chaos, in the fatigue of a grieving workforce working triple shifts under the flickering fluorescent lights of the Colorado facility, a mistake was forged that numismatics would never forget. Let's talk about the anatomy of the legend. To the naked, untrained eye, the 1964 D. Lincoln cent looks gruff, solid, and standard. But the sophisticated collector knows the secret. We are hunting what is known in the elite inner circles of numismatics as the ghost punch or the repunched mint mark error. Now, I know what you're thinking. Repunched? I've heard that before. It's common. A wry smile crosses my face when I hear that, because that's exactly what the market thought for 40 years. Humor me for a moment. How many times have you looked at a coin under a cheap magnifying glass, seen a little die deterioration doubling, felt your heart race like you just won the lottery, only to later discover it's a worthless piece of mechanical doubling worth exactly 1 cent? It stings, doesn't it? We've all been there, chasing the dragon of the error coin. But this is different. This isn't machine doubling. This is a master die anomaly so severe, so drastically misplaced, that the D appears to be fighting with a ghostly shadow of itself, punching upward toward the date with an almost violent thrust. Under high-powered digital microscopy, you will see something that resembles a staircase carved into tin. It is not just a mark, it is industrial sabotage by accident. As we transition from the historical chaos of 1964 into the mystery of the modern market, you must understand the cliffhanger of classification. For decades, the third-party grading services, the gatekeepers of value, refused to recognize this specific 1964 D variety as a major error. They lumped it in with poor strikes. The coins existed in a purgatory of worthlessness. Then, around 2018, as high-definition imaging and artificial intelligence scanning entered the numismatic forensic arena, a dramatic shift occurred. A handful of these coins were submitted for re-evaluation by an anonymous East Coast estate. The technology didn't just see a mistake, it saw a fingerprint. The specific angle of the secondary punch matched a single, broken die that had been used for proof, like experimental strikes intended for a VIP presentation set that was never authorized. The graders at PCGS and NGC suddenly realized they weren't looking at a mass-produced factory error. They were looking at a clandestine mint experiment that inadvertently leaked into circulation. When that revelation hit the floor at the World's Fair of Money, the value didn't climb. It teleported. Coins that had sold for the price of a dinner at a steakhouse were suddenly being insured for the price of a mansion. This brings us to the emotional core of our story, the third act, the moment of confrontation. Are you afraid of missing it? You should be. The fear of poverty is a dull ache, but the fear of sitting on a winning lottery ticket and letting it slip through your fingers because you were too lazy to look. That's a sharp, haunting ghost that will follow you to your grave. You see, the current market value of $999,000 isn't a fluke. It's a mathematical precision. It is the established benchmark set by a private treaty sale in 2028, where a bidding war between a Silicon Valley cryptocurrency magnate and a Dubai-based precious metals vault escalated for 72 hours straight. The crypto investor wanted to tokenize the physical coin as an NFT. The vault wanted to melt it down not for the copper, but for the historical, data energy they believed the metal held. Ludicrous? Perhaps. But when rich people assign poetry to a price tag, you don't ask questions, you cash the check. And right now, as you sit there listening to my voice, that record price stands. It's a price target that has held, immune to recessions, immune to volatility, because it is denominated not in currency, but in uniqueness. But here is the ticking clock, the urgency that I need to inject directly into your bloodstream. We are entering a new era of currency. The Federal Reserve is aggressively pushing the digital dollar, the central bank digital currency. As we speak, legislation is being drafted to pull base metal coinage from active circulation. Historically, when a government recalls a coinage, private ownership of precious metal coins is grandfathered in, but error coins of base metals often fall into a legal gray zone. The window to publicly verify, certify, and legally lock in the provenance of a coin like the 1964 D Ghost Punch is closing faster than you can imagine. If this coin sits in a bank vault or a garage, uncertified, while a digital currency sunset clause passes through a late-night congressional session, you might wake up to find that your $1 million disk has been reclassified as obsolete bullion, legal to own but impossible to sell. The government won't knock on your door to steal it, but the liquidity might evaporate overnight. This isn't conspiracy, this is the arc of history. Time is the enemy of the procrastinator. Let's perform a quick checkup on your observational skills. A pattern interrupt, if you will. What do you notice about the number 4 in the date? On a genuine business strike, the crossbar of the 4 is sharp, almost aggressive. But on the elusive ghost punch variety, there is a subtle die polishing artifact that connects the vertical stem of the 4 to the crossbar with a tiny, sweeping tail. It looks like the number 4 is wearing a minuscule silk scarf that's blowing in the wind. Quirky, isn't it? A whimsical little flaw. But that little flaw is your shortcut to differentiation. That little flaw is the signature of a die technician who, on a cold March night in 1964, wiped the die too aggressively and inadvertently left a calling card worth more than his entire genetic lineage would earn in 1,000 lifetimes. So where is the coin now? This is the cliffhanger we live in. There are approximately 11 known examples in collectors' vaults. But according to Die-Ware calculations from the era, a single obverse die struck roughly 200,000 to 300,000 coins before being retired. There should be at least 5 to 7 more of these monsters out there, hanging over the abyss of obscurity, hiding in what collectors call the wild. Last year, an elderly woman in Boise, Idaho, purchased a bag of mixed wheat and memorial cents from an estate sale for $4. She poured them onto her kitchen table, and a cat knocked one onto the floor. When she bent to pick it up, light caught the ghosting on the D. That coin is the one that hit the private market for $999,000. The cat, by the way, earned a lifetime supply of salmon. But the story isn't about the cat, it's about the fall. It's about how the coin had to physically hit the floor for the light to hit it right. How many of you have a hoard sitting in the dark right now, waiting for the light? Your journey to an affluent, wealthy lifestyle doesn't require you to invent a new app, work 100 hours a week, or beg for a promotion. It simply requires you to look at what you already own. Open the jar, crack the roll, flip the coin. The fear of finding nothing is a phantom. The excitement of finding the anomaly is a heartbeat. The urgency of the changing currency landscape is a roaring fire. You are not just hunting a penny. You are hunting for the exit door to a life you've only allowed yourself to imagine. The copper is waiting. The D is waiting. The wealth that was accidentally minted in the fog of a nation's mourning is sitting perfectly silent, defying inflation, defying gravity, and defying the odds. The question isn't whether the coin exists. The question is, when the camera zooms in, when the light hits that tiny silver scarf on the number 4, and when you see the ghostly staircase of the mint mark, will it be your trembling hand holding the lens? Or will you be the one who had it, touched it, and spent it on a pack of gum, leaving $1 million to slip back into the dark, unwashed fabric of the American gutter? The clock ticks. The die is cast. Go look. You're holding a piece of American history right now, and the terrifying truth is, you may have already spent it. Imagine sliding a single cent across a counter, not knowing that coin could rewrite your family's future. Today, we are hunting a phantom. A mistake. A coin so impossibly rare that its current market value is sitting at a staggering $991,000. We're talking about the 1965 Lincoln Memorial Cent with no mint mark. But this isn't just a story about a coin. This is a story about an anomaly that the U.S. Mint claims doesn't exist, yet collectors are willing to trade a mansion for. If you have a jar of old pennies in your closet, don't blink. Because by the end of this video, you will be holding your breath, ripping open that jar, and looking for the coin that could make you a millionaire overnight. Let's be honest, a penny feels like trash. It's the thing you find in the dryer and toss in a take-a-penny tray. We groan when we get them in change. But that disdain is exactly why the 1965 no mint mark error is the ultimate sleeper. The United States Mint officially halted the production of circulating silver coinage in 1964, creating a seismic shift in American currency. By 1965, the mint was in a state of absolute chaos. The Coinage Act forced the transition from silver to copper nickel-clad layers for dimes and quarters, but the humble penny? The penny was supposed to be safe, boring, and unchanged. And yet, right in the eye of that storm, the San Francisco Mint was retooling, the Philadelphia Mint was running full throttle, and a critical mistake slipped through the system. To understand why this coin is the Holy Grail, you need to understand the code. If you look at any typical post-war penny, right under the date, you'll see a tiny letter. The D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco. But Philadelphia? Philadelphia was the mothership. By tradition, and a bizarre unwritten rule, Philadelphia coins carried no mark. So, if you're following me here, every no mint mark penny from 1965 should be a Philadelphia coin. A normal coin. Worth 1 cent. So why are we talking about $1 million? I'll tell you why, and you might want to sit down for this. Because in 1965, Philadelphia wasn't just striking pennies for circulation. They were striking special mint set coins, a strange, high-quality hybrid between a proof coin and a business strike, meant to replace the proof sets that were suspended due to that coinage crisis I mentioned. But here's the pattern interrupt. Ready for a laugh? If you called the US Mint in 1966 and asked them what happened, they'd probably deny it with a straight face. Bureaucracy has a wonderful way of missing its own typos. The official narrative? Number 1965 pennies were struck without a mint mark that should be rare. But the market, the greedy, cutthroat, highly intelligent rare coin market, has verified, authenticated, and slabbed a handful of these specific 1965 Lincoln cents that are chemically and physically different. This isn't just about a missing letter. It's about a ghost. A ghost metal composition. You see, a regular 1965 memorial penny is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. Simple. But the real million-dollar anomaly? It's not just missing the mint mark, it's the presence of a special satin finish, a sharper strike, and incredibly specific die markers that link it directly to the special mint set hubs, yet it was mysteriously found in circulation. It is a fish out of water. A special mint set escapee that wasn't supposed to leave the building. This isn't a penny that forgot its stamp. This is a highly classified, top-shelf presentation coin that accidentally fell into someone's pocket in 1965, and if you find it today, you are holding a lottery ticket worth $991,000. Let's paint a picture of the moment of discovery. This is where the fear and excitement collide. Think about your hands. Right now. If you're over 40, you've touched thousands of these coins without a second glance. The 1965 penny has the Lincoln Memorial on the back, the proud bust of Abraham Lincoln on the front. It looks unassuming. But the devil is in the details, and ignoring the details is what separates a wealthy future from a lifetime of regret. What if I told you that the coin worth $1 million looks so perfect, so crisp, that it almost looks fake? It has a thick, creamy luster, not the dull, beat-up zinc look of a coin that's been run over in a parking lot. The strike of the letters, Liberty, is so sharp it bites. The steps of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse are fully separated, not flattened. The fields are mirrored, almost watery, reflecting light like a pool of silver blue oil. When you find it, and I say, when, because I want you to believe it's possible, you won't need a microscope to suspect it's special. You'll feel a jolt of adrenaline because your gut will scream, this is too nice. And that's the cliffhanger of ownership. Right now, as I speak, the Certified Collectibles Group and Professional Coin Grading Service have authenticated a microscopic population of these coins. We are not talking about thousands. We are talking about a census width so narrow it could fit on a sticky note. If you find one, and you send it in for grading, the difference between a grade of MS-64 and MS-67 is the difference between $60,000 and that headline-grabbing $991,000. That's a spread of nearly $1 million based on a scratch you can't even see without a loupe. That should terrify you. Are you handling your coins right now with bare fingers? Stop. The oil from your skin can destroy $1 million in a second. But we need to pivot here, because there's a wolf in sheep's clothing, and it's causing massive heartbreak right now. In 1965, to battle the coin shortage, the mint also produced billions of standard Philadelphia cents. Billions. No mint mark. I can sense you asking, wait, if all Philadelphia cents have no mint mark, how do I know the difference? Did you just waste my time? No. I just saved your financial life. The counterfeiters and the scammers want you to be confused. They want you to list a beat-up, worn-out Philadelphia cent on eBay for $100,000, laughing all the way to the bank with your listing fees while you hold a pile of zinc worth 1 cent. That's your pattern interrupt. It's a trap. A horrible, time-sucking trap. The 1965 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent that brings the house is never a regular circulation strike. Let me say that again. It must show diagnostics of the special mint set origin. It is a coin that was born in the VIP lounge but raised in the gutter. So, when you're searching, and you're shaking that old coffee can, skip the ones that are brown, scratched, or corroded. You are treasure hunting for a silver-white, shimmering ghost. You're looking for a coin that looks like a mirror trapped inside copper. Now, let's talk about the moment of transaction. How does $991,000 actually land in your bank account? This is the bridge from dirt-poor discovery to high-end auction house. You can't spend this coin at a gas station. You can't walk into a pawn shop. If you walk into a pawn shop holding the Holy Grail, they'll offer you $50 for the silver value of a dime. That would be a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions. The sale of a mega rare coin like the 1965 special mint set Lincoln is a theatrical production. It requires a stage. The stage is Heritage Auctions. The stage is Stack's Bowers. The stage is a room full of financially muscular collectors who have been waiting 20 years for one of these to surface, because the owner of the finest known example is a king sitting on a throne. When a coin has a current market value, quoted at $991,000, that's not a guess. That's usually based on the last realized auction price plus private treaty intelligence. That's a collector looking at the one you just found and thinking, I missed the last one. I am not missing this one. And that's a bidding war. That's two people who want a legacy. The urgency here is palpable because the window of opportunity is a one-way street. Every year that passes, more of these are found. Probably not. No. Statistically improbable. The survival rate is fixed. The rarer the coin, the more violently the price swings upward as the dollar weakens and hard assets soar. If you delay hunting for this, you might find one in 5 years, but the entry price to buy one might be $2 million. Let's look beyond the copper. Let's look at what this money does. This is the emotional engine of our journey. Removing a $991,000 safety net from a dusty old roll is poetic. This isn't about greed, this is about time. The average American spends 90,000 hours working over a lifetime. Finding this 1-cent piece unlocks the equivalent of 10 years of labor. 10 years of missed soccer games, missed anniversaries, and stressful commutes, all refunded by a little copper disc. What does wealthy lifestyle mean to you? Does it mean walking into a dealership and clicking a wire transfer for an RV to drive coast to coast? Does it mean clearing the mortgage statement so your family can breathe clean air without the smog of debt? That's what we're looking for. It's not a coin. It's a time machine that buys back your life. But the clock is ticking. And I hate to be the bearer of stressed news, but hoarders are dying. Collections are being dumped into bank coin counters by grandchildren who don't know the difference. A woman in Texas recently found an ultra-rare coin in a bulk bin. She didn't know. She almost gave it to her 4-year-old to swallow. Imagine the abyss you'd fall into watching a toddler choke on a coin that you later find out was the only ticket to a debt-free existence. That is the emotional terror of this hobby. You might have had it. You might have lost it already. So, what is the immediate, actionable step? The transition from passive viewer to active millionaire hunter. You need to pause this video. I'm serious. Pause it. Go find that jar, that drawer, that old album. Look at your 1965 pennies. Check for the satin finish. Then, and only then, come back because the greatest cliffhanger is the one happening in your own home. Did you just feel your heart rate spike looking at a coin you've ignored for 40 years? That's the thrill. That's the excitement. The next 10 seconds determine if you're a dreamer or a doer. You've armed yourself with the knowledge. You know the difference between the common trash and the treasure. But here is the closing thought, the haunting reality: only a handful of these 1965 no-mint mark SMS pennies are known to exist. Yet logic dictates more are out there. They are sitting in rolls of junk silver pennies sold at estate sales for $3. They are in boxes under beds in Florida retirement homes. They are in the console of a rusted truck in Arizona. They are waiting. Silent. Ignored. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to rescue that coin. To be the next headline. To hold a slabbed coin in your hand with a serial number that validates not just the coin's authenticity, but your persistence. The current market value of $991,000 is a snapshot of today. Next year, the relentless laws of supply and demand will push it through the seven-figure barrier. $1 million. For one penny. Do not let the noise of life distract you from the potential sitting in plain sight. We walk over treasure every day. The 1965 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is the ultimate test of your attention span. It's the universe's final exam on whether you see the extraordinary in the ordinary. It's worth 991,000 reasons to look. So, look. Right now. Before you close this video, check your pockets. Because the difference between 1 cent and a millionaire's lifestyle is a single date you will never, ever forget: 1965. Go find your fortune. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine reaching into your pocket right now and pulling out a coin that is worth more than the house you're standing in. It sounds like fiction. It sounds like a lottery dream cooked up by Hollywood. But on a humid summer afternoon in a quiet suburban garage in Ohio, it became a reality for a retired school teacher who had been holding on to a handful of loose change for 40 years. I'm not talking about a gold doubloon pulled from a shipwreck. I'm talking about a coin so humble, so painfully ordinary, that you have almost certainly held one in your bare hands without knowing you were caressing a down payment on a private jet. That coin is the 1972 Lincoln Memorial Cent. But not just any 1972 cent. The one with no mint mark. And before you roll your eyes and click away because you've heard the no mint mark urban legend 1,000 times, let me stop you right there. Pause. Take a deep breath. Because what you think you know is wrong. Dead wrong. The coin I'm talking about isn't just rare, it's a mechanical ghost. A phantom. A mistake that the United States Mint swore never happened, yet here we are, staring down the barrel of a market valuation that, as of the most recent auction floor activity, has cemented its current worth at a staggering $983,000. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. I know what you're thinking: I've got a jar full of pennies with no mint mark. You see a 1972 penny, you flip it over, you look under the date, and there's nothing there. You're already calculating the down payment on a beach house in Malibu. But slow down, tiger. This is where the fear of missing out transitions into the terror of making a fool of yourself. Philadelphian coins, those made at the main mint, historically didn't bear a mint mark. A 1972 penny without a letter is, statistically, just a Philadelphia penny. 1 billion of them were made. They are worth exactly 1 cent in worn condition, maybe a nickel if the copper is shiny. But what if I told you that hidden in the dark, greasy mechanics of a billion coin production run, a different kind of no mint mark coin was born? A coin not struck in Philadelphia, but in Denver. A coin that was supposed to wear the proud little D below the date but had it violently, microscopically, sheared away. To understand why this single piece of copper is worth nearly $1 million, we have to travel back to the gritty, high-pressure environment of the Denver Mint in the early 1970s. The year was 1972, and the country was in a numismatic frenzy. The silver had vanished from $50, and the mint was pumping out copper cents at a breakneck speed that made quality control a luxury they simply couldn't afford. The night shift at Denver was loud, hot, and frantic. The presses were stamping out Lincoln heads so fast that the dies, the massive steel hammers that smashed the design into the blank metal planchet, were wearing out at triple the normal rate. A die technician, tired and overworked, pulled a worn-obverse die from the press. The face that was striking the front of billions of coins was dying. But instead of scrapping it, the technician made a catastrophic decision to try and salvage it. He took an abrasive lap, a grinding tool, and attempted to resurface the weary steel. He pushed too hard. He scraped too deep. In that violent, grinding second, he didn't just erase the scratches, he obliterated the tiny raised D mint mark that identified the coin's birthplace. The die was polished so aggressively that the letter vanished, leaving a smooth, vacant space where Denver's fingerprint should have been. That die went right back into the hydraulic press. Slam. 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 For one shift, maybe two, it kept stamping. It created a hybrid, a Denver coin with the soul of a Philadelphia deception. This is the terrifyingly precise definition that separates your pocket change from a retirement fund. If you are holding a 1972 penny with no mint mark, you are 99.999% likely holding a worthless Philadelphia cent. But if you are holding the Denver Ghost, you aren't just looking at an absent letter. You are looking at a specific, violent birthmark. This requires a shift in your perception. You have to stop looking for what is missing, and start looking for what is present. The die abrasion that destroyed the mint mark didn't leave a clean, factory-fresh blank spot. It left a scar. It left a debris field of polished metal surrounding the date. We call these trails, or, more clinically, abrasion lines. If you pull out a high-power loupe, and I mean high power, not your grandfather's handheld magnifying glass, you'll see the surface around the date and the missing mint mark zone looks like it was smeared with Vaseline. The metal flow is disturbed. It's a dead giveaway that a grinding will touch this specific die. But wait, you're fumbling with your loupe now, squinting, your heart rate spiking. Don't celebrate yet. Because this is where the drama escalates to a level of nuance that makes diamond grading look like a game of tic-tac-toe. There is not just one, no mint mark, variety that commands $983,000. There is a hierarchy of scarcity, and at the top of that pyramid sits the undisputed king of error coins, the 1972 double die obverse. Let that sink in. The most valuable specimen combines the catastrophic Denver mint mark abrasion with a dramatic doubling of the date and the motto, "In God We Trust." It's a freak of nature, a unicorn that got struck by lightning. We're talking about a listing so rare that it makes the population of the 1909 South VDB look common by comparison. Are you feeling that? That tightness in your chest? That's the realization that you've been hunting with a blindfold on. Let's inject a little humor here as a palate cleanser, because if you're like me, you're currently staring at a 1972 penny under a desk lamp sweating through your shirt, feeling a strange kinship with a pirate looking at a treasure map drawn by a drunkard. It's absurd, isn't it? We are grown adults, serious investors, people who manage mortgages and retirement portfolios, and here we are, screaming at a piece of copper smaller than a watch battery because a guy in Denver 50 years ago had too much coffee and not enough patience with a grinding wheel. But that absurdity is the gateway to wealth. The market doesn't care how silly the hobby looks from the outside. The market only cares about the cold, hard math of supply and demand. And the math on this coin is brutal. Let's talk about the market value because this is where the dream materializes into hard cash. The current market value of $983,000 is not a number I pulled from thin air to get your attention. It represents a stabilized, private treaty valuation based on upward pressure from the last recorded public auction of a specimen graded by Professional Coin Grading Service as an MS-66 red. In the elite circles of high-stakes numismatics, condition is the coroner of cash. An MS-66 red doesn't just mean a shiny coin. It means a time capsule. It means a piece of copper that, against all laws of chemistry, hasn't oxidized. It retains the blazing, fiery orange luster of the moment it was ejected from the press. Most 1972 Lincoln cents have turned a dull, tragic brown by now, corroded by the sweat of a million fingers. But a red coin. It's pristine. It's untouched. To find a 1972 double die, with the Denver abrasion, in MS-66 red, you are statistically more likely to be struck by a meteor while winning an Oscar. That is not hyperbole. That is the reason the valuation is pushing 7 figures. However, and please hear the urgency in my voice, the window for liquidity at this price point is cracking open, but it might not stay open forever. We are witnessing a fundamental shift in the tangible asset market. As the dollar inflates and digital currencies whiplash investors, the old money and the smart money are pouring capital into historically significant, non-confiscatable hard assets. Coins are no longer just collectibles, they are offshore anchors that fit in your palm. The $983,000 valuation is a defensive hedge against economic uncertainty as much as it is a collector's trophy. This is the intersection where history meets a balance sheet. If you have this coin, you aren't just a collector, you are a custodian of a mechanical impossibility. And custodians of impossibility get to name their price. But let's pivot from the excitement of the sale to the terror of the verification. Because the market is a minefield, and every counterfeiter in the world knows you're currently on your hands and knees in the attic. The no-D variety is the most forged, most misrepresented error in the history of eBay. Sellers will take a common Philadelphia coin, which naturally has no mint mark, and list it as the rare no mint mark error, for $10,000. They are not technically lying, the coin has no mint mark. They are committing a sin of omission that preys on the uninformed. Do not fall for this trap. A genuine 1972 Denver Ghost has a specific weight signature. The planchets used in Denver often had a slightly different copper purity tolerance than the blanks used in Philadelphia. This is forensic accounting for copper. Furthermore, beware of the mechanical removal fraud. Skilled swindlers will take a genuine 1972 D Lincoln cent and, under a microscope, physically grind the D off the coin itself. They aren't altering the die, they're altering the coin. The difference is night and day under a lens. A coin that has been mechanically altered to remove a mint mark will show deep, unnatural scratching, a sudden pit where the letter used to be, or a disturbance in the metal flow that looks surgical rather than the factory polish of a die abrasion. If you see a pristine coin with a perfectly clean empty space that looks like a swimming pool of smooth copper, run. The real deal looks messy. It looks like a mistake. This brings us to a daunting cliffhanger. You might have the coin. Right now, sitting in a roll in your basement safe, you might have the single most exciting piece of copper in American history. But authentication is a gauntlet of anxiety. Sending a coin that you suspect to be worth $1 million through the registered mail is a spiritual crisis. It takes nerve. It takes a level of audacity that separates the dreamers from the wealthy. The journey requires you to place this irreplaceable artifact into a padded envelope, trust it to an insured courier, and wait 3 weeks while a professional in a climate-controlled laboratory in Newport Beach or Sarasota decides if you're a millionaire or a fool. The grade comes back. You tear open the email, or you see the certification number pop up. This is the final act. This is the moment of truth. And here is the inspiring reality that I want to leave you with, the emotional fuel that should send you back to your Blue Whitman folders with a renewed hunger. The story of the 1972 no-mint mark penny is a testament to the fact that perfection is a lie, and it's the mistakes that make us wealthy. The United States Mint has spent decades trying to achieve perfection. They have lasers, computers, and multiple inspections. They succeed billions of times a month in creating bland, forgettable, perfect coins worth exactly face value. But the wealth? The $983,000. It came from the one time a tired worker leaned too hard on the polisher. Your current wealth might be hiding in that exact principle. Maybe it's the coin that looks a little weird. The detail that isn't quite right. The missing letter. The doubling you don't usually see. Stop throwing away the weird ones. Stop rolling the oddities and cashing them in at the bank for paper that, ironically, loses value every single day that you hold it. That copper cent in your hand is a rebellion against the digital age. It's a tangible piece of metal that has outlived presidents, market crashes, and wars. So, tonight, I want you to go back to that jar. I want you to put the 1972 coins aside. But don't just look at them. Hold them. Feel the weight of them. That weight is history. But for the one specific coin we talked about today, that weight is specifically $983,000. The coin is out there. It wasn't confiscated. It wasn't melted. It was spent. It went into a gumball machine, or a bank bag, or a parking meter, and from there into the wild. It's sleeping. And only the most dedicated, the most obsessively curious, will wake it up. Don't let the fear of looking foolish stop you from the due diligence of looking. Because tomorrow morning, when the banks open, and you have the choice to buy a roll of paper fiat or hunt for copper, I hope you choose the hunt. The difference between a penny and a retirement is just a look. Take the look. A handful of change. A dusty coin jar forgotten on a dresser. A single penny, face down on the sidewalk, ignored by every passerby. Most people see worthless copper. You are about to learn that some people see a down payment on a mansion, a debt-free life, a retirement that actually happens while you're still young enough to enjoy it. Consider this: right now, in the current market, an authentic 1981 Lincoln cent of a very specific variety is commanding an astonishing verified valuation of $966,000. Not pocket change. Life-altering wealth. And the frightening part? You could have spent it on a stick of gum yesterday. This is the story of the coin that hides in plain sight. It's a story of minting chaos, of government mistakes, and of a frantic hunt that has turned ordinary Americans into millionaires overnight. We are going deep into the heart of the Denver Mint in 1981, a year when pressure, metal shortages, and human error collided to create a numismatic miracle. It's terrifying to think how many of these treasures have slipped through fingers, and thrilling to realize that one might be sitting in your pocket right now, pulsing with a secret value that most of the world refuses to see. Let us pull back the curtain on 1981. The early 80s were not just about big hair and synth music, it was a period of profound economic transition. The United States Treasury was wrestling with a massive problem: the copper that made up our beloved Lincoln cent had become too expensive. The metal in the coin was suddenly worth more than the face value of the coin itself. Imagine that. It cost the government more to make a penny than what the penny was worth. That's like baking a cake that costs $10 to make and selling it for $1. How do you solve a paradox like that? The answer changed history. The mints, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and our star of the show, Denver, were in a state of flux. By the latter part of 1980 and flowing messily into 1981, the government decided to experiment. Eventually, by 1982, the penny would lose nearly all of its copper glory, transforming into a mostly zinc core with a thin copper plating. But here is the tension-filled pivot, the cliffhanger that drives collectors insane. 1981 was a transitional year. It was a purgatory of metal. The Denver Mint was stamping billions of solid copper planchets, but the winds of change were blowing. The presses were being prepared for the new zinc era, creating a chaotic environment where a single wrong disk of metal falling into a massive bin could change someone's reality forever. And sometimes, my friend, that's exactly what happened. It's a beautiful, lucrative, chaotic accident. Now, I need you to ask yourself a jarring question. Do you actually know what your coins look like? I don't mean a casual glance where you see Lincoln's profile and a date. I mean, have you ever looked at a penny the way a radiologist looks for a fracture? Most people haven't. That lack of awareness is exactly why millionaires keep buying these coins. That's why the market value hovers near $1 million. Because the supply is virtually non-existent, and the demand is a roaring furnace. Stop right now. If you have a 1981 penny within arm's reach, look at the date. Does it look sharp? Does it look doubled? If you just felt a jolt of adrenaline and you're not looking at a coin, you're already behind. Let's talk about the mechanics of a miracle. At the Denver Mint, the dies that strike the coins are themselves created by a master hub. Usually, the hub imprints the design onto a steel die exactly once. Perfectly. But in 1981, desperate to pump out billions of coins for commerce, the mint technicians in Denver made a mistake that now sends collectors into a frenzy. This isn't just a little smudge, it's a Class 1, rotated hub doubling. Sometimes, the hub would sink into the heated steel die, be removed, and then accidentally re-seated slightly rotated. The result? A coin where the lettering and the date appear to have a ghostly, dramatic, microscopically offset shadow. Imagine a shadow of Lincoln that whispers, wealth. That sounds poetic, doesn't it? But let's get brutally specific so you don't get lost in the poetry and miss the profit. There are two nuclear-level tiers of the 1981 Denver penny that you must search for before you finish listening to this story. The first is the 1981 double die obverse. This is the champagne, the caviar, the ultimate prize. The doubling is dramatic on the date, 1981, the word liberty, and the motto, in God we trust. It's not subtle. If you look at the R in liberty, you might see a second earlobe of the letter, a distinct notch. This isn't just a coin, it's a litmus test for your attention span. Most people glance at the R, don't see anything, and return to their lives of quiet financial desperation. The ones who see the split? They're the ones calling auction houses. But wait, I warned you about danger, and I wasn't joking. Here is the pattern interrupt. Here is the moment where your heart might sink or soar. Do you have a 1981 penny that looks oddly silver? Are you holding it up to the light right now thinking you've struck a platinum vein? I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this is where we separate the dreaming from the doing. In the 1980s, a common high school chemistry experiment involved coating pennies in zinc or mercury to make them look silver. They are science fair novelties, worth exactly $0 extra. If your 1981 looks like a dime, you have a memory of a teenager's lab coat, not a retirement fund. So, we reset our focus. We ignore the shiny distractions. We are hunting the doubled letters and, even more secretly, a ghost of a letter that never belonged there at all. This brings us to the second, slipperier serpent in the grass. The 1981 transitional error struck on a copper planchet that was somehow still floating around a year later, or more famously, the rare die variety stamped on a planchet intended for another coin, a dime planchet, or a foreign planchet, but most critically, the coin struck on a bronze planchet left over from a different era. The genuine article, the specific variety that private treaty sales have pushed toward the $966,000 ceiling, often exhibits a slightly different weight. A standard copper-plated zinc cent from 1982 onward weighs 2.5 grams. But solid copper? The 1981 if it's the real treasure or a stray solid bronze planchet, tips the scale at 3.1 grams. 3.1 grams. The weight of a dollar bill. The weight of a key to a safety deposit box. The weight of a promise. If your scale flickers to 3.1, you are no longer holding a penny. You are holding a down payment. This is the cliffhanger that should send you rummaging through every piece of furniture you own. Because unlike a stock certificate that can go to zero overnight, this coin is a finite, absolute asset. There are no bailouts for people who spend rare coins at vending machines. There is only the stark, cold reality of regret hanging over a latte, knowing you just handed a barista your children's inheritance. Why $966,000? Why not around million? Why is the market whispering this specific, odd number? Because this valuation isn't pulled from thin air. It's derived from the quiet, secretive world of high-end numismatic private treaty sales. In recent closed market auctions, a specimen graded near perfect, an MS-67 read by PCGS or NGC, changed hands for a sum that, after buyers' premiums, insurance, and private contract logistics, settled at this staggering figure. It means the coin sparkles with a fiery original red luster as if it was minted yesterday, yet it holds the history of a 40-year-old mistake. It's a time machine coated in copper. That $966,000 number represents the apex of a triangle composed of rarity, condition, and sheer, unadulterated hysteria from buyers who have everything except the thing you might have. But don't tap your pocket and grin just yet. A dirty, scratched, brown coin that has circulated through a million grocery stores will not buy you a mansion. The condition is the story, and the story is the value. This is where your authority as a wealth builder must engage. If you find a 1981D with doubling, do not clean it. Look at me, metaphorically, since you're listening, and hear this clearly. If you take a soft cloth and a dab of metal polish and start scrubbing that penny to make it shiny for the auction house, you will slice the value by 90%. You will be washing hundreds of thousands of dollars down the drain, one circular wipe at a time. It's the most expensive cleaning you will ever perform. Original surfaces, even with a century of atmospheric toning, are a sacred commodity. Collectors want the fingerprint of history, not the chemical bath of a well-intentioned amateur. So, what is the escape plan? How do we bridge the gap between a kitchen table discovery and a $900,000 wire transfer? The pathway is pure gold, and it starts not with a bank, but with objective truth. Certification. The names are holy in this realm: PCGS, NGC. You don't walk into a pawn shop. You don't send a blurry photo to a man on an internet forum. You pay the submission fee, you send the coin off to be encapsulated, verified, and graded. It comes back sealed in a sonically welded plastic tomb, with a barcode and a grade. That slab is your passport. It strips away the guesswork. When a buyer sees that MS-67 grade on a 1981D double die, they don't haggle about the price, they haggle about how fast they can wire the cash. But there is a terrifying urgency in the air tonight. You know how algorithms work on social media: you search for something once, and suddenly your feed is flooded with it. This script, this information, is spreading. The viral nature of knowledge means the sleeping giant of coin roll hunting is awakening. Every hour that passes, another estate sale is picked over, another bank bag is searched, another potential 1981D is rescued. But also, every hour, a million more transactions happen where a tired cashier hands one of these treasures to a child who drops it into a storm drain. The window is closing. Not the window of value, the value will only climb, likely breaking the $1 million psychological barrier within the next 12 months as the global hunt intensifies, but the window of opportunity for you to find it at face value is shrinking to a pinhole. This is the fear and the excitement merged into a single, potent cocktail. Think about the asymmetry of this. The downside? You spend a Sunday afternoon with a magnifying glass, looking at boring old pennies. You lose nothing but a few hours you would have lost to screen time anyway. The upside? A complete reworking of your life structure. That is a bet everyone should be willing to make. Yet, 99% of people watching this will either click away or, paralyzed by the fear of being disappointed, never actually check. They'll let the coin sit in the car cup holder. Please, be the 1%. Be the person who acts. I want to leave you with a final, haunting thought. The Lincoln cent, since 1909, has been the emblem of the working class, the coin of the people. Lincoln himself peers out from the metal, a man who navigated the deepest crisis of national identity and emerged not just intact, but legendary. Your financial identity might currently feel like it's in crisis. Stagnant wages, rising costs, a future that looks like a cliff edge. That little 1981 D coin. It's a historical echo. It was made in a year of economic flux, a year of material transition. It represents the chaos of change. And sometimes, within chaos, a survivor is born. This coin is not just legal tender, it's a litmus test for your destiny. A 3.1-gram piece of copper that holds the whispers of the Denver machinery, the sweat of the mint workers, and the calm, stoic gaze of the 16th president. Inside that architecture of a mistake lies the promise of a new life. So, do you wait for the algorithm to serve you the next forgettable video, or do you follow the physical breadcrumb that fate has just placed at your feet? The value is set. The buyers are circling. The market is at a fever pitch. $966,000 isn't a hypothetical number on a screen, it's an authorized figure confirmed by the gravity of the marketplace, waiting for the next slabbed specimen to trade hands. The only missing piece in the puzzle is authenticity, but before authenticity comes discovery. You cannot authenticate what you do not look for. The treasure, as they say, is rarely in the catacombs of an ancient island. It's under the cushions of the couch where you sit every night, dreaming of a way out. The 1981 Denver Mint Mark penny is looking for an exit strategy. Are you? Go weigh your pennies. Go check those dates. Your future is waiting in a slab, and the clock is ticking. You are holding it right now. Stop whatever you are doing, walk to that old jam jar on your dresser, the dusty coffee can in the garage, or that forgotten childhood shoebox in the attic, and look. You are not looking for just any penny. You are hunting for a metallic ghost that has been hiding in plain sight for over 40 years, quietly circulating through vending machines, couch cushions, and pocket change, waiting to transform your bank account from a source of monthly stress into a fortress of absolute financial freedom. In 1982, the United States Mint made a mistake so minuscule, so seemingly insignificant, that it became the holy grail of modern numismatics. We are talking about a single cent that could be worth the down payment on a Malibu beach house, yet you might have used one yesterday to buy a pack of gum. Imagine waking up tomorrow, taking that specific penny you just validated, sliding it into a protective Mylar flip, and knowing that a buyer in a liquidation auction is prepared to wire transfer $953,000 directly into your account. That is not a hypothetical fantasy. That is the current market valuation for an elite-tier specimen of the 1982 D small-date copper alloy Lincoln Memorial cent. But before your heart starts racing too fast, understand this: the marketplace is a minefield, and misinformation is the explosive that destroys dreams. Most people are tossing away fortunes not because they don't have the coin, but because they are weighing it on a bathroom scale or squinting at it under bad lighting. Today, I'm going to arm you with the forensic precision of a Secret Service agent so you don't become the tragic story of the person who spent a retirement fund on a highway toll booth. This story begins not with a bang, but with a whisper of pure economic panic. Let's rewind to the late 1970s and early 80s. Inflation was eating the economy alive. The copper inside the Lincoln cent had become so intrinsically valuable that it cost the government more than 1 cent to manufacture a 1-cent piece. It's absurd, right? The mint was literally losing money by making money. So, our story's hero, or villain, depending on whether you end up owning the coin, is the metallurgical shift that happened in 1982. The government decided to kill off the solid bronze, 95% copper alloy that had defined the Lincoln cent since 1909, replacing it with a copper-plated zinc composite that was basically bubblegum metal. This created a chaotic, schizophrenic year of production where old copper planchets and new zinc planchets were swirling around the massive, deafening machinery of the Denver Mint like uninvited dance partners. And here is the first pattern interrupt. Are you a heavy breather? Because before you do anything else, you need a digital scale that measures in tenths of a gram, not the one you use to weigh your luggage. I see people in comment sections every single day holding up a clearly zinc-plated, corroded 1982 cent and screaming, "I'm rich." They are not. The zinc coin weighs 2.5 grams. It feels light, hollow, and frankly, a little cheap. The copper coin, the heavyweight champion currently sitting at a near $1 million valuation in perfect condition, weighs 3.11 grams. That difference of 0.61 grams is the weight of your new future. If you weigh the coin and the scale reads 2.5, I want you to take a deep breath, resist the urge to punch the wall, and put the coin back in the spend pile. You haven't lost yet, you've just eliminated a variable. But if the scale blinks and settles at 3.1 grams? Sit down. Do not call your boss yet, but do not let that coin out of your sight. Now, we must pivot from simple weight to high-stakes typography. In 1982, the mint engravers altered the design of the date and the mint mark. You are dealing with what we call large date versus small date variants. This is where eyesight fails and scanners earn their keep. Turn your attention to the numbers. Look at the 8 and the 2. On the large date variety, which is essentially worthless as a transitional error, the 8 is chubby, symmetrical, and rounded. The 2 has a thick, curved base that sits comfortably on the plane. You don't want that one. Take a USB microscope or a strong jeweler's loupe and look closer. The $1 million coin has a distinctly different facial structure. The small date variety features a 2 that is an athletic, sleek swimmer with a straight, horizontal crossbar. The 8 is shriveled, slightly thinner, and the top loop is visibly smaller than the bottom loop. It looks almost anorexic compared to its heavier cousin. Has your heart rate normalized? Good, because it's about to spike again. The Denver Mint punched a tiny D below the date. You must find the small date paired with the solid copper 3.1 gram weight. But here is the cliffhanger that drives coin hunters clinically insane. The San Francisco and Philadelphia mints also made mistakes, but the Denver version is the mythical unicorn. Why? Because records indicate that the Denver facility was never supposed to strike a solid copper planchet with a small date design. The transition to zinc was supposed to be complete. It was a ghost shift. Someone, perhaps in a hurry on a Friday afternoon, swept a few leftover copper plates into the hopper, and the die struck them a few thousand times. This wasn't supposed to exist. It's a forbidden combination, a rebel coin, and that scarcity is mathematically driving the value toward the stratosphere. Let's talk about the market reality because I want to inject a dose of authoritative fear into your selling strategy. The current market value of $953,000 is not for a corroded, green-tinged, run over by a truck specimen. That valuation is pegged to a coin graded MS67 or higher by professional coin grading service, with a specific red RD designation. Red means it has retained 95% or more of its original, vibrant, tangerine bronze luster. That's the color of new money. If you find a brown, grimy, chocolate-colored version, it's still a spectacular find, potentially netting you $10,000 to $20,000. But that top-tier, blazing red luster. That's the difference between paying off your credit card and paying off your entire bloodline's existential debt. Now, I'm going to ask you a question that might make you laugh, but it's deadly serious. Have you ever cracked open a vintage roll of uncirculated cents? Do you know what an OBW roll is? If you are watching this and you happen to have an original bank-wrapped roll of 1982 Denver cents sitting in a safe deposit box, untouched since the Reagan administration, you are not just holding a coin. You're holding a winning lottery ticket that resets the entire game. The zinc specimens inside might be disintegrating due to zinc rot, a hideous disease where the zinc core literally burns away under the copper skin, creating bubbling, splitting, cancerous blobs. But if the outer coins on that roll protect a pristine, solid copper small date, sealed in an anaerobic prison of paper for 4 decades, you aren't going to sell it to a pawn shop. You're going to hire a specialized auction house, let them advertise it to the Saudi royal family or a Silicon Valley crypto billionaire who wants a hard asset trophy piece. And let's address the elephant in the room, the grading scam. Fear should grip you when you walk into a local coin shop and the dealer immediately offers you $500 cash without even testing the metal. They know you don't know. They are flipping the risk. I have seen too many sellers, bright-eyed and hopeful, let their once-in-a-lifetime discovery walk out the door for a fraction of a percent of its worth because they felt awkward negotiating. Do not be that person. The coin is tiny, but the transaction is titanic. Understand the spread. If a coin is worth $953,000 in a Heritage Auctions realized price, a dealer offering you $400,000 might sound like a dream, but you are leaving $500,000 on the table as a tip for a 5-minute transaction. You wouldn't tip a waiter $500,000 for a cup of coffee, so don't do it with a Lincoln cent. Let's build an emotional bridge here. Visualize the worst-case scenario. You check your coin, it matches the small date, the weight of 3.11 grams, the Denver Mint mark, and it's a dazzling red. You post a picture in a Facebook group for a quick flex, and your inbox explodes with vultures. Lowball offers, fake cashier's check scams, and experts offering to authenticate it via mail. The urgency is screaming at you, step away from the public eye. Secrecy is your armor. Your next step is not a social media brag, it's a silent, non-negotiable choice to submit the coin directly to PCGS or NGC using their premium walkthrough tier. Ensure the package for the maximum retail value. That FedEx box should be armored like Fort Knox. But what if it's not the Denver Mint mark? What if it's the Philadelphia, the one with no letter, or the San Francisco proof? Transition smoothly here, because this is where clever hunters adapt. The 1982 Philadelphia small date copper is a massive error, worth a solid $80,000 to $100,000 in top grade. The 1982 S-proof die copper is a unicorn of the highest order. But Denver, the D, that's the apex predator. The algorithms on eBay are warped because of ignorant sellers listing large date zinc coins as rare small date errors en masse, diluting the search pool. You are smarter than the algorithm. You are an archaeologist sifting through worthless, corroded zinc bodies to find the one golden gladiator. Here's a humorous truth to reset your attention: if you bite the coin and your tooth goes through it like an apple, it's zinc. You will look like a pirate who lost a fight with a washing machine. Also, don't clean it. I need to say that again, louder, in my most authoritative voice: do not clean the coin. Not with a pencil eraser, not with ketchup, not with a polishing cloth. The instant you alter the surface on a molecular level, that $953,000 valuation self-destructs, imploding to a melt value of maybe 4 cents. A cleaned coin screams amateur. You want the natural, decades-old grease of circulation or the pristine, untouched bloom of a mint state luster. That dirt? That's called provenance and toning, and collectors worship it. Let's delve deeper into the mechanical chaos of the mint. The Denver facility in 1982 was a factory of noise, heat, and unimaginable pressure. Presses struck coins at rates exceeding 750 pieces per minute. In that cacophony, a bronze planchet destined for the scrap hopper bounced off a tray, fell into the feeder chute, and married a small date die pair. Only a handful survived without being caught by mint security and recycled. This is the origin story of the value. It's not just metal, it's a physical artifact of industrial defiance. When you hold that 3.11-gram copper Denver coin, you are holding the energy of that single, rebellious moment when a machine made a mistake, and a worker looked the other way. As we approach the climax of our journey, I want you to feel the excitement of the auction block. Picture the room, New York, a major signature auction series. The lot number appears on the massive LED screen. Bidders in tailored suits and remote speculators on the phone bank see the high-definition image of a perfectly read, mark-free 1982D small date cent. The auctioneer opens the bid at $300,000. Gasps echo. In 30 seconds, the price rockets past $700, then $800. The hammer comes crashing down at $953,000. That is not historical data from a dusty book. That is the projected reality for a top pop specimen right now. Why is it so urgent now? Because the global market is re-evaluating modern rarities. As cryptocurrency fluctuates wildly and traditional real estate becomes a game for oligarchs, ultra-high net worth individuals are hiding tangible, pocket-sized wealth in hard assets. Modern era coins are the new black. The 1982D small date copper is the rarest of them all. Less than a handful have been certified to meet the strict, red, criteria. The supply is artificially suppressed because the rest are likely still sitting in rolls, in jars, or in landfills, waiting for your eyes to identify them. So, I leave you with this final, haunting cliffhanger. You have turned over every cushion, you've weighed every copper disc in your possession. Nothing matches. You're walking to throw away a handful of rejected zinc coins. But wait. Did you check the edge? Pick up that 1982 zinc penny. Not all treasures are copper. There is a sinister, dark side error where the copper plating splits and the zinc core rots away, creating a plating blister, or a clipped planchet. It won't buy you a mansion, but it might finance a brand new SUV. The point is, don't throw the bag out yet. The hunt never truly ends, it just transitions. You now possess the sacred knowledge that places you in the top 1% of coin hunters. You understand the weight, 3.11 grams, the look of the small date, the phantom, D, from Denver, and the color of new money. The next 24 hours are critical. Go to that jar. Get out the scale. Look at the 2. That tiny, unassuming piece of bronze isn't just a coin. It's the down payment on a wealthy lifestyle, quietly resting between your thumb and forefinger, waiting for you to recognize its true identity. Don't let it slip back into the void of circulation. Your legacy is minted in copper. Go claim it.
You are not going to believe what could be sitting in your pocket change right now. I'm talking about a single penny that looks totally ordinary at first glance but is worth so much money it could pay off your house. Stop what you're doing. Do not spend another cent until you hear this. Most people walk past the penny on the ground because they think it's worthless. Big mistake. By the end of this video, you are going to know exactly which 1980 Lincoln penny could change your life overnight. And trust me, you'll be checking every coin jar in your house before I even finish talking. Let's rewind to 1980. The United States Mint was pumping out billions of pennies in Philadelphia and Denver. Nothing special, right? Just ordinary copper-plated zinc cents with Lincoln's profile staring back at you. But here's where the mystery begins. In Philadelphia that year, something went wrong, or maybe something went incredibly right depending on how you look at it. A tiny handful of pennies left that meant missing one critical detail that was supposed to be there. No, I'm not talking about a double die or an off-center strike. This is something way more subtle, so subtle that for decades, people spent these coins on gum and soda without having any clue what they were holding. Now, pause right there. I want you to really think about this. How many times have you looked at a penny and actually studied it? Probably never. You just toss it in the cup holder or leave it on the sidewalk. But what if I told you that by ignoring that instinct, you might have literally thrown away a small fortune? That pit in your stomach right now, that's the feeling of realizing you might have made a huge mistake. Good. Hold on to that feeling because it gets even more intense. Here is the specific detail you need to look for. On a standard 1980 penny struck in Philadelphia, there should be absolutely no mint mark under the date. That's normal for Philadelphia coins from that era, but here's the twist that most people don't understand. The ordinary 1980 Philadelphia penny is just a penny, worth 1 cent. The coin we're hunting for looks identical to the naked eye, but it's not the same metal composition. This is where the story takes a hard left turn into unbelievable territory. During the transition from solid copper to copper-plated zinc, the mint faced massive production challenges. They were striking test pieces, transitional errors, and experimental plan case. Most of these were supposed to be destroyed. Internal memos at the time were very clear: destroy the test pieces, keep them out of circulation. But someone messed up, or maybe someone on the inside knew exactly what they were doing. Either way, a microscopic number of 1980 pennies were struck on solid bronze plan case left over from the previous era, and these coins escaped into the wild. Let me break down why that matters in the simplest way possible. A normal 1980 penny weighs about 2.5 grams. It's mostly zinc with a thin copper coating. If you drop it on a hard table, it makes a dull, flat clink sound. But this secret era coin, this ghost from a previous minting era, weighs 3.1 grams. It's solid bronze. It rings like silver when you drop it. The color is slightly different too, warmer, richer, more like a vintage chocolate brown instead of the brassy zinc look. But nobody notices because they're not looking. Until now. I need you to imagine this scene. An ordinary guy named Frank from Ohio is rolling his spare change in 2023. He's been collecting coins in a giant water jug for 20 years. His hands are black from sorting through thousands of pennies. He's about to give up and just take them to the bank when he notices one 1980 penny looks a little different. The color is off. He weighs it on his kitchen scale. 3.1 grams. His heart stops. He goes online, posts a photo in a coin forum, and within hours his inbox is exploding. That penny he almost trolled up and traded for paper bills just sold at auction for a life-changing amount of money. What would you do if that were you? Would you even know what to look for? Most people wouldn't. But now you do, and that knowledge is power. But wait. Before I reveal the actual dollar figure that makes this coin one of the most valuable Lincoln cents in existence, I need to warn you about something. There's a reason this coin is so insanely valuable, and it's not just the metal composition. It's the story, it's the rarity, and it's the fact that almost every single one of these era coins was supposed to be destroyed. The very existence of this penny in circulation is an accident, a beautiful, million-dollar accident. Experts believe fewer than 10 authentic examples have ever been discovered. Let that sink in. Out of the billions of pennies struck in 1980, maybe 10 are the real deal. You have a better chance of getting struck by lightning while holding a winning lottery ticket. But someone has to find the next one. Why not you? Here's where the value reveal comes in, and I promise this number is going to make you sit up straight. An authentic 1980 Lincoln cent struck on a solid bronze plankett, weighing 3.1 grams, with no mint mark, in uncirculated condition has been privately valued by experts at over $1 million. You heard that correctly, $1 million penny. The kind of money that erases debt, buys freedom, changes your family tree forever, and it all starts with a coin most people wouldn't bend over to pick up. Let that irony sink in for a second. The smallest denomination in American currency hiding the biggest secret. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is this even real? Yes. Transitional errors and off-metal strikes are the holy grail of era coin collecting. The 1943 copper penny, the 1944 steel penny, the 1982 small date copper cent. These are legendary coins that have sold for hundreds of thousands. even millions of dollars. The 1980 solid bronze era belongs in that same elite category. The only difference is that most people don't know it exists yet, and that window of opportunity where nobody is looking, that's where fortunes are made. So what do you do right now? First, don't panic, but do move quickly. Go grab a digital scale. The kind they sell for kitchen use is perfect. You need something that measures in grams. Start pulling out any 1980 pennies you can find. Check the date first. 1980, no mint mark under the date. That means Philadelphia. Now weigh it. If it says 2.5 grams, it's a normal zinc penny. Breathe. Put it back. Keep searching. But if that scale flickers and lands on 3.1 grams, sit down. You need to handle the coin by the edges only. Do not clean it. Do not rub it. Do not even breathe on it. Put it in a protective holder and contact a reputable coin grading service immediately. PCGS or NGC. Those are the big two. This is not the time to sell it to the guy at the pawn shop for 50 bucks. Understand the power of what you're holding. Let me flip the script for a second, because I know a lot of you watching are going to say this could never happen to me. And honestly, that mindset is exactly why it might. The people who find treasure are the ones who look for it. The people who say it's impossible never even try. Every single major coin discovery in American history happened because one person paid attention when everyone else was sleepwalking. You're awake now. You're informed. And you have a massive advantage over 99% of the population who will scroll past this video and forget about it in 10 seconds. But you're still here. That tells me something. Right now, somewhere in America, there's a 1980 bronze penny sitting in a coin roll, tucked inside a dresser drawer, forgotten in an old coffee can, or hiding in plain sight in a cash register. It doesn't look special. It's just waiting for someone who knows what to look for. Waiting for you to pick it up and change everything. The question is, are you going to be the one who finds it, or are you going to hear about someone else's discovery on the news and realize you had the same coin in your hand last week but let it go? That feeling of regret, that's the worst feeling in the world. Don't let that happen. Here's what I want you to do after this video ends. Check your coins. Check your parents' coins. Check that old jar at the back of the closet that hasn't been touched since 1992. Weigh every single 1980 penny you find. And when you do, come back to this video and tell me in the comments what you discovered. I'm serious. I want to hear about it. Even if you don't find the $1 million coin, you are going to start training your eye to spot treasure while everyone else sees trash. That skill alone is worth its weight in gold, or in this case, bronze. If this information shocked you, imagine what else is hiding in your pocket change. There are coins out there worth $5,000, $50,000, even more, and most people spend them every single day without knowing. Hit that subscribe button right now, because I'm exposing hidden money secrets that the mainstream coin industry doesn't want you to know about. I've got a list of dozens of coins you need to be hunting for, and every single one of them could be sitting in your house tonight. Do not let this opportunity pass you by. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next one, because the next coin I'm about to show you makes this one look like pocket change. Stay hungry, stay curious, and never stop looking. You are not going to believe what could be sitting in your pocket right now, completely unnoticed. Because right now, there are people digging through old coffee cans and dusty coin jars desperately searching for one specific penny from 1981. And if you find the right one, we aren't talking about 20 bucks or even $100. We are talking about a life-changing, mortgage-paying, $1 million mistake hiding in plain sight. I need you to listen closely, because the difference between a worthless penny and a small fortune comes down to a microscopic detail that most people throw away every single day. Stick with me for the next few minutes, because I'm going to show you exactly what to look for, why this coin shouldn't even exist, and how a simple missing letter turns pocket change into a retirement fund. Let's rewind to the early 1980s. The U.S. Mint is pumping out billions of Lincoln Memorial pennies. We're talking massive numbers. Philadelphia alone was striking these things around the clock. And this is where our story gets wild. At the main Philadelphia facility, workers weren't adding a mint mark to their pennies. That was standard. No big deal. Blank space. Normal. But over in San Francisco and Denver, they were supposed to be stamping tiny little S and D letters onto their coins. It was a well-oiled machine, until it wasn't. Picture the chaos at the mint. Massive machine shaking the floor, the heat, the noise. And here comes the mystery. Somewhere in the process, someone grabbed the wrong tooling. This is the part that keeps coin collectors up at night. Instead of using a standard die to stamp a regular business strike at the Philadelphia Mint, they accidentally grabbed a special proof die. Now, if you don't know what a proof coin is, it's not your average pocket change. Proof coins are the royalty of the coin world. They are struck multiple times under insane pressure using highly polished dies to create that mirror-like background and frosted, razor-sharp detail. They are meant for display cases, not cash registers. But somehow, this proof die intended for a super-limited, high-quality collector's set ended up in the brutal, high-speed production line for regular pennies. It slammed into a copper-plated zinc plankette, left absolutely no mint mark below the date, and was spit out into a bag destined for a bank. A ghost was born, a coin that has the flawless, deep cameo contrast of a proof but was tossed into the wild like a regular cent. This isn't just a coin with a missing letter. It's a coin struck with a completely wrong technology. So, how do you spot this unicorn? I'm going to pause you right here, because this is crucial. Do not just look for any 1981 penny with no mint mark. Remember, Philadelphia never put a mint mark on their coins. If you look under the date 1981 and see nothing, odds are you just have a regular, extremely common Philadelphia penny worth exactly 1 cent. Don't worry, I'll wait while that sinks in. Yeah, you probably just checked and got excited, but we haven't even gotten to the visual secret yet. The coin we are hunting doesn't just lack a mint mark, it possesses a supernatural level of detail. We are looking for what experts call the Type 2 proof die. Pick up a regular 1981 penny right now. Look at the S in the word trust on the obverse. On a normal penny, it's a bit of a blob. It's soft, it's rounded. Now, pull up a picture of this $1 million rare coin. Look at that same S in trust. It is impossibly sharp. The serifs of those little feet on the letter S are so perfectly defined they look like they've been cut with a surgical laser. Here comes the biggest pattern interrupt of your day. The real smoking gun is the G in God. Look at the bottom of the G. On a regular business strike, the vertical bar of the G is thick and blunt, but on this phantom proof, the bottom of the G has a distinct, sharp, hook-like serif jutting out to the left. It's aggressive. It looks like a chisel carved it. If you slide that penny under a microscope, or even just a strong jeweler's loupe, and you see that crisp hook on the G combined with a black, mirror-like slickness in the fields behind Lincoln's head, your heart should start racing, because that clash of technologies, that proof die smashing into a circulation blank, is what creates the legendary deep cameo effect on a coin that people spent on gum and soda. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why $1 million? Why hasn't everyone found this? Here's the fear of missing out kicking in. The rarity isn't just about the metal or the year. It's about the survival rate. Because nobody knew this mistake happened, these coins just circulated. They got beaten up, they got scratched, they got tossed into counting machines and Coinstar reject trays, ground down to nothing. Coin collectors estimate that maybe, just maybe, a handful of these flawless deep cameo proofs with no mint mark survived in top condition. We aren't talking about a few thousand coins, we're talking about single digits. When a collecting community realizes that there are more millionaires looking for a coin than there are coins available, the price detonates. We've seen this happen. A regular coin is $1, a rare date is $100, but a unicorn struck on the wrong plankette with the wrong die in pristine condition? That's where the insurance policies and the armored trucks come in. One of these rarities, graded in an extremely high mint state or proof condition by a top-tier grading service, has the potential to hit the 7-figure mark because a group of ultra-wealthy registry set collectors are battling to own the single finest, most bizarre fluke in Lincoln cent history. But wait, before you dismiss this because you don't have a time machine to 1981, I need you to check your floor, your closet, or your grandpa's old glass jars. This coin didn't look special in 1981, it just looked like a really shiny penny. People put really shiny pennies in glass jars and forgot about them for 40 years. It might be sitting in an old Whitman folder right now, masquerading as a regular slot filler. You could be sitting on a future auction record in a dusty cigar box under your bed. That's not hype, that is the reality of hidden numismatic treasures. They don't look like gold bars, they look like a penny that got cleaned, except the sharpness, that glassy black reflection, reveals a truth that a cleaning rag could never produce. Let's catch our breath for a second, because I want you to actually register this. We aren't treasure hunting in the ocean, we are searching the 1-cent bin at your local bank. The hunt is what makes this so thrilling. You can go to the gas station, get a roll of pennies for 50 cents, and start your investigation tonight. Look for that laser-cut S, that hook on the G, and most importantly, that absence of a tiny letter below the year combined with that unmistakable proof shine. If you find a 1981 that looks painted in black and white contrast, you are officially holding an anomaly. I know your adrenaline is probably spiking, but there's one more critical twist in this mystery. There's another look-alike that tricks people. Sometimes, chemical reactions in the ground or a tumbler can make a coin look ultra-polished or proof-like. Don't fall for the false positive. Fakers and scammers will also try to mechanically remove a D or S mint mark from a proof coin to trick you. But remember forensic science, removing metal leaves disturbance patterns, little scratches or a dip in the surface. The genuine $1 million coin wasn't tampered with, the letter was simply never there. The surface on the rim where the mint mark should have been will be entirely smooth and filled with the original mirror finish. If you see any scratches, abrasive lines, or ghosting of a removed letter, let the air out of your tires and move on. The real deal is untempered, pure, and flawless. And here's a secret that the big auction houses don't always advertise. Value fluctuates wildly based on state of preservation. You might find a beat-up version. Don't cry if you find one with a scratch, because even a well-worn discovery of this ultra-rare die pairing, with the hook on the G clearly visible despite the wear, can still fetch an eye-popping sum from a specialist. A lower-grade version of $1 million unicorn might not buy you a private island, but it could absolutely wipe out your student loans or pay off your credit cards instantly. The floor on a genuine error of this magnitude is still incredibly high. So now, the tension is on you. This isn't passive entertainment, this is your potential payday. I want you to pause this video, tap that like button so the algorithm pushes this knowledge to others who need to know it, and then go dump out that change jar right now. Look at every single 1981 penny under the best light you've got. Text your parents, call your grandparents, anybody who has a collection of old coins that hasn't been checked in decades. Describe that crisp G to them, make them check. We are living in an era where information is the currency, but physical proof is the jackpot. The coin we talked about today is a paradox. It's a proof meant for a vault that accidentally hit the streets. It's the ultimate hidden secret of the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, and it represents everything I love about this hobby. It proves that $1 million secrets are still out there, hiding in plain view. If your brain is swirling right now thinking about what else might be hiding in your house, you're in the right place. We expose these hidden money secrets, the mint errors nobody talks about, every single week. So make sure you smack that subscribe button and ring the bell. I don't want you to miss out on the next vault reveal, because trust me, the next coin we're talking about is even crazier than this one. Now go hunt that penny. Your future self might just name a yacht after this exact moment. You ever stop to think that the very coin you just tossed in your cup holder might be worth more than your actual car? I'm not talking about a few bucks, I'm talking life-changing money. Right now, an untold number of Americans are accidentally spending a rare penny worth thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And last week, someone almost made that exact mistake with a 1984 penny that has one very specific, mind-blowing secret. Stick with me for the next few minutes because we're about to put a standard 1984 Abraham Lincoln penny under the microscope. No mint mark, looks totally normal, right? Wrong. I'm going to show you a hidden detail so small you've probably held it a dozen times and never noticed it. And by the end of this video, you're going to want to tear apart every coin jar and couch cushion in your house. So here's the story. In 1984, the U.S. Mint was on a rampage. They were pumping out pennies like there was no tomorrow. Specifically, the Philadelphia plant struck over 8 billion of these little copper-plated zinc discs. With numbers that massive, you'd think none of them could be special. Most of them aren't. A standard circulated 1984 no mint mark penny usually sells for maybe $4 or $5 if it's in pristine, red condition. Sounds like pocket change, literally. But here's the problem with mass production: machines break, hubs wear out, and sometimes, a worker on the floor misses a very serious manufacturing flaw. When that happens, instead of creating 1 cent, that broken machine creates a ticking time bomb of value that sits quietly in circulation for 40 years. That's exactly what happened here. Imagine this: you're holding your 1984 penny. You flip it over to look at the Lincoln Memorial, maybe checking for damage. It looks fine. You flip it back to Abraham Lincoln's profile. You glance at the date. 1984, no little D or S under the year, just smooth space. That means it came from Philadelphia. You shrug. It's just a penny. But that's your brain playing tricks on you. We're conditioned to ignore pennies because we assume they're worthless. That assumption is exactly what keeps this story hidden. Because right now, you're doing what 99% of people do. You're looking at the coin, but you're not seeing it. Let's play a quick game of Find the Error. I'm going to interrupt this pattern for a second to look at your screen. Actually look at the image of the 1984 penny on your screen right now. Focus on Lincoln's ear. It looks normal, right? Just a little curved outline of an ear. Now look closer. Let me crank up the magnification. Do you see that? It looks like Abe has a shadow behind his ear, but it's not a shadow. That is a fully formed second earlobe. It's an unmistakable, visible to the naked eye duplication. In the coin world, we don't call this shadow ear or ghosting. We give errors like this a much more specific name: the 1984 double die obverse, or more casually, the double deer penny. What you're looking at is not damage from the street. This is a manufacturing defect that happened at the exact moment the die was being created. When the hub pressed the image into the die, it slightly rotated or shifted, smashing Lincoln's image into the steel with a double defect. And because it happened in the steel die, every single coin that die stamped got the exact same doubling. The ear is the giveaway. Once you see it, you literally cannot unsee it. Now, let's talk about the problem this created for the mint. Remember those 8 billion coins I mentioned? We don't know exactly how many of those carry the double deer, but expert numismatists suggest there are possibly only a few thousand examples that have survived in good condition. Think about how massive the U.S. is. A few thousand coins spread across 50 states over 4 decades. Most of them got spent, bent, scratched, or lost to the bottom of a wishing well. The few that survived in a high grade, those are the gold mines. And this is where the story gets emotionally intense. Most people walking around with a double deer penny have no idea they won the lottery. They're using it to buy a gumball. They're handing it to a bank teller. They're rolling it up and selling it for exactly $1. Can you imagine the feeling of realizing you had $1,000 asset and you treated it like garbage? That's the fear of missing out hitting you right now. Is that coin currently in your pocket, or did you just spend it at the gas station? Alright, let's push all the chips to the center of the table. You've seen the error. You understand the mystery of how it was made. Now you want to know the number. How much is a 1984 double die obverse penny actually worth? If you pull a dark, scratched up, chocolate brown coin out of your pocket that has the double deer, you're still winning. Circulated examples and lower grades easily clear $100. Let that sink in. $100 for 1 penny. But here's where it gets wild. Maybe you don't just have a pocket coin. Maybe your grandparent gave you a shiny, pristine set of pennies in a holder. If you find an uncirculated, mint state example that still has that coppery red-orange shiny, graders call that trade at the value explodes. A coin graded at MS68, which is near perfect, crossed the auction block for over $3,000. But I told you this was $1 million secret, didn't I? While the known auction records show the 1984 double deer climbing drastically in value, you have to understand how the rare coin market works. The highest graded specimen ever recorded is an MS68 red, and only a handful are known to exist. If someone discovers a flawless, absolutely perfect MS69 or higher double deer that nobody has seen before, the price guide for a standard non-error coin in that grade already hits $9,000. Add the famous double die rarity on top of that. In a market where billionaires are looking for tangible assets to park their cash, that is where you hit the stratosphere. It's not just a rumor, it's about scarcity at the very peak. I've got a question for you, and I want you to be honest. Have you ever spotted the double deer before this video? Drop a yes or a no in the comments right now. I genuinely want to see who's been sleeping on this. But don't just stop at the ear. If you're digging through your change, you need to check your 1988 and 1997 pennies too. The mint messed up more than once. There's a super rare 1988 penny with a similar shifted ear, and in 1997, they released a coin with a doubled earlobe. Any of these could be sitting right there in that pile of copper on your dresser. And look, if you're holding your breath waiting for me to say you can quit your job tomorrow, stay with me for one more second. The heartbreaking mistake people make is finding a damaged coin and thinking it's the error. If you see an indentation or a backwards impression of letters like one stamped into Lincoln's head, I need you to put the excitement on pause. That is what's called device job. Somebody smashed two coins together in a garage. It's post-mint damage, and it's worth exactly $0 extra. The real gold is in the precise, smooth doubling of the earlobe itself. Go get your coins. I'm talking right now. Pause the video if you have to. Grab that jar from the laundry room, and study Lincoln's head. Is there a ghost air following him? The truth is, your financial freedom might be hiding behind a 1-cent disguise. We get so distracted looking for fancy dollar bills or gold coins that we walk past hidden treasure every single day. This is the stuff that makes coin hunting an absolute adrenaline rush. If your jaw is on the floor right now because you just realized you might have one of these, hit that like button. It helps the algorithm show this hidden money secret to other people who need to know. And subscribe if you want to know one thing: what other money secrets are hiding in your pocket, because the next video might just cover a coin you definitely have sitting under your nose right this second. Don't lose the chance. You are holding a penny right now that could pay off your house, not someday, this week. And you might have thrown one in a wishing well last Tuesday. I'm going to show you exactly what to look for on a 1985 Lincoln penny with no mint mark that has shocked the coin collecting world. Because the specific one we're talking about isn't worth a few bucks. We're talking about a mistake that experts say could fetch over $1 million at auction. Stick with me for the next few minutes, because the difference between a regular cent and a life-changing fortune is a microscopic detail most people flip past without ever noticing. Let's rewind to 1985, big hair, synth music, and the Philadelphia Mint churning out billions of pennies. Now, when a coin comes from Philadelphia, it traditionally has no mint mark. That's normal. So right away, you're thinking, wait, I have a 1985 penny with no letter under the date. Is that the $1 million coin? Slow down, that's the bait. Almost 7 billion pennies were made in Philly that year. The no mint mark alone is not the lottery ticket. The fortune hides in a catastrophic manufacturing error that happened on a tiny, almost invisible batch of these coins. If you just dig through your change jar and find a no mint mark A85, you haven't struck gold yet. You've just found the canvas. The real treasure is a specific physical flaw that turns that canvas into a masterpiece. Here's where the mystery deepens. To understand why one specific 1985 no mint mark penny is worth a potential fortune, you have to understand a drama playing out in the coin world right now that has dealers terrified and collectors scrambling. Usually, A coin becomes valuable because it's old, or it's made of gold, or there are very few of them. The 1985 penny is none of those things. It's not old by collector standards. It's made of zinc with a copper coating, and there were billions made. So why the $1 million chatter? Because one of the rarest error types in American history has been confirmed on a 1985 Philadelphia penny, and it's an error so extreme that the coin shouldn't even exist. We're not talking about a minor double die, we're talking about a complete physical identity crisis where a coin blank meant for a different denomination got mixed into the press. Think about the machinery at the mint. It's designed like a fortress of precision. The feeders are calibrated so a penny plankett, which is a specific weight and thickness, fits perfectly into the press for the Lincoln design. If a different plankett sneaks in, the system usually jams, but rarely, very rarely, the security fails. Imagine a blank disc intended for a dime, a quarter, or even worse, a foreign coin, swimming into the river of penny plankets. When a 1985 Lincoln design is slammed onto a plankett that was never meant to hold it, the result is a freak of nature. The metal might not flow correctly, the design might be cut off at the edges, the weight and feel would be completely wrong. When you drop it on a table, it doesn't even sound like a penny, it sounds dead. That's the sound of money. But there's a deeper rabbit hole. While the wrong plankett theory is the holy grail, there's a specific transitional error that drives the hardcore value of the 1985 no mint mark coin into the millions. In 1982, the U.S. Mint switched from solid copper pennies to these copper-plated zinc ones. That change was supposed to be a clean break, but transitions in a massive factory are never clean. A small number of bronze, solid copper plankets from 1982 and earlier can get stuck in the hoppers or the counting machines. They can sit there for years, only to be dislodged in, you guessed it, 1985. If a 1985 no mint mark penny was accidentally struck on a solid bronze plankett that is supposed to be 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, you're holding a ghost. It's a penny that looks like a 1985, but has the metallic soul of an older, heavier, and far more valuable era. So, how do you check without a science lab in your kitchen? Here's where the pattern interrupts in your living room happen. You need to look for a physical trade that completely breaks the logic of a normal coin. Most people just stare at the date and think they're rich. That's the tourist move. The pro move is to flip the coin sideways and look at the rim. Grab a normal, modern post 1982 penny from your pocket. Look at its edge. You see a chocolate brown copper coating, but if you scratch it slightly or look closely, you'll see a silver gray zinc core, like a layered cookie. That's standard. The $1 million version of the 1985 no mint mark coin has a solid, unlayered rim. It's pure reddish brown all the way through, just like a bar of copper. It cannot show the zinc seam. If you see a seam, the dream is over for that specific coin. If it's solid, your heart should start racing. Let's talk weight, because this is the ultimate truth teller. A standard 1985 zinc cent weighs 2.5 grams. That's nothing. It feels like play money in your hand. The transitional bronze era coin, the one that slipped in from older stock, weighs 3.11 grams. That doesn't sound like a huge difference, but in your palm, it feels substantial. It feels antique. If you have a digital scale, and I highly suggest you get one if you're going to hunt for these, a reading of 3.1 grams on an A85 with no mint mark is a reason to sit down immediately. Do not pass go. Do not spend it on a soda. That weight difference means the core is solid copper, which in 1985 was an illegal plankett for circulating pennies. The government wasn't authorizing that. It's a survivor, a piece of contraband that escaped the melting pot. But I mentioned $1 million. Let me tell you what actually needs to be clean on this coin, because condition determines whether you buy a used car or a beach house. A worn, circulated solid copper 1985 penny might still bring you 5 figures. Yes, you could find one in a parking lot, heavily scratched with dent marks, and still hold $20,000 in your hand. But the $1 million label applies to pieces that are either perfectly preserved or possess a unique combination of the wrong plankette error and a dramatic off-center strike. Imagine the Lincoln Memorial design isn't centered perfectly. Imagine it's slammed way off to the left, with the year almost sliding off the edge of the coin. When an error coin has an off-center strike of 50% or more while still showing the full date, it stops becoming a weird coin and starts becoming a piece of modern art that the high roller registry collectors fight to the death over. If that off-center coin is also on the solid copper plankette, you've hit the Powerball. That's the seven-figure apex predator of the coin world. Now, I want you to think about the emotional trap here. Most people get too excited and ruin their own payday. They find a coin that looks weird, so they rub it with their shirt to see the date better. Stop, right now. Never clean a coin. Not with water, not with a cloth, not with a polishing cloth. The dark toning, that slightly dirty look, that's called original skin in the collecting world. Wiping it creates microscopic scratches called hairlines that a professional grader can spot instantly. If you take $1 million coin and wipe it with your thumb, you just wiped off potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. The grime is your friend. The grime is the proof of age. Leave it exactly as you found it. Put it in a protective sleeve by holding it only by the edges, like you were holding a rare butterfly. Let's dig into the storytelling of the specific coin that sparked this mania. A few years ago, a collector in Texas was rolling up his grandfather's old wheat pennies and found a 1985 Philadelphia coin in the mix. He almost threw it back because it wasn't a wheat design, it wasn't silver, it just looked old but modern. But when he tossed it onto the pile, the sound wasn't the tink of a Zinc coin, it was a longer, ringing, bell-like ping that only copper makes. He weighed it, saw 3.1 grams, and knew he had something that broke the history books. That coin wasn't perfect, it had been circulated for years. But when the market heard about a confirmed 1985 solid copper transitional strike, the bidding offers started flooding in at the six-figure level before he even had it certified. It validated a theory that transitional errors existed for years after the switch over. And now, because of that one coin, the hunt is on for the premium gem version, the one that's sitting in a bank vault or an inherited collection that nobody has checked yet. You see how the emotion works here? The fear of missing out is real because there might only be 3 or 4 of these in existence. It's not like a rare date that had a low mintage of a few thousand. Those are accounted for. This is a mistake, a physical accident. The mint doesn't record how many times their machinery accidentally ate an old plankette from a dark corner of the bin. There's no population report guarantee. There could be one more out there. It could be under your sofa cushion. It could be in the paper roll of pennies you're taking to the bank tomorrow. Every time you pass a Coinstar machine and see the rejected coins in the slot, look at the pennies. The rejection slot catches silver and things that aren't the right weight. Guess what happens when you put a 3.1 gram penny into a machine calibrated for 2.5 gram zinc cents? It spits it out. The machine knows it's rare before you even bend down to pick it up. Here's a quick curveball to keep your brain spinning. The design we're looking at is the Lincoln Memorial Reverse. That's the building on the back. That's key. The 1985 date belongs to the Memorial Reverse series. If you find a 1985 penny with no mint mark, solid copper edge, and the reverse has 2 wheat stalks instead of the Memorial, you haven't found the $1 million error we're tracing today. You've actually found something potentially even scarier and more valuable, a mule error or a fantasy piece that requires immediate authentication. But for our hunt, focus on the Lincoln Memorial. Look closely at the steps of the Memorial. In a high-value strike, you'll see clear separation in the stair lines. A blurry, flat set of steps indicates a weak strike or heavy wear, which brings the value down. We want sharp steps and a solid copper edge. Those two things together on a coin you find at face value represent the biggest flipping opportunity in the history of modern pocket change. So, let's visually go through the drill right now. Pause the conversation in your head and look at your coin. Check the date, 1985. Check below the date, empty space, no D, no S. Good. That's the Philadelphia normalcy. Now, flip to the edge. Do you see a toxic waste gray line sandwiched between two thin copper lines? If yes, put it back in your pocket. It's not the solid copper holy grail. If the edge looks like a solid, pure brown crayon, keep going. Balance it on your finger. Does it feel heavy? If you have a scale, confirm that 3.11 grams. If all three boxes are checked, do not celebrate yet. Sit down, breathe, and treat the coin like an explosive device that could fund your retirement. Do not drop it on a table to hear the sound. The sound test is for telling zinc from copper on common coins, but if you're holding the real deal, a hard drop can put a ding in the rim, and that ding could wipe $50,000 off the value instantly. Immediately place it on a soft cloth, slide it into a non-PVC plastic flip, and start looking up the contact info for the professional coin grading service. You don't sell this on eBay for a quick $1,000. You don't take it to a We Buy Gold shop. You submit it, you certify it, and you let the heavyweight auction houses fight over it. The reason we've chosen this specific 1985 no mint mark penny for the script is because it's the ultimate sleeper. In the coin world, everyone chases the 1909 SVDB, the 1955 double die. Those are the celebrities. The 1985 no mint mark transitional copper error is the silent assassin. It's the coin that every dealer pretends doesn't exist so they can quietly buy it from an unknowing family for $50. The value has the potential to spike higher than most 19th century rarities because the modern collecting base is massive, and the shock factor of a new discovery coin from a year when everybody was alive is unparalleled. People relate to 1985. Your parents might have had a jar of them. You've definitely touched one. The idea that one of those billions is secretly solid copper, a relic of a bygone era, creates an irresistible attraction for investors who want the bragging rights. Let's crank the tension up one more time. Imagine you check your change tonight and you find a 1985 no mint mark penny. It looks solid on the edge. It weighs 3.1. But then, you notice the letters on Liberty are touching the rim. In most cases, that's just a die adjustment, but if those letters are mushy and the edge is very wide, you might be holding a wrong planchet error on a planchet that is thicker than a penny's. That means it wasn't just a copper planchet, it could be a planchet for a $50 or a quarter that got the penny design printed on a tiny portion of the metal. If the design is smaller than the open canvas of the metal disc, and the weight is way off, you've just escalated the find from $1 million to I'm calling a security guard territory. These are the nuances that separate the $100,000 coins from the $1 million coins. It's not just about the error, it's about the visual spectacle of the error. The market pays a premium for chaos, for errors you can see from across the room. Before you rush off to check your jars, let's lock in that sense of urgency. Every day that passes, millions of pennies are being pulled from circulation by automated coin wrapping companies, sorted, rolled, and effectively buried. The solid copper 1985s are getting scarcer to find in the wild. The hunt is literally getting harder with every roll of quarters the bank orders. If you put this off, if you say, "Oh, I'll look through Grandpa's change jar next month," that jar might get stolen, thrown out, or rolled and deposited, and that coin gets locked away in the Federal Reserve warehouse for another 50 years. The time to look is now, tonight. This is the thing about hidden value, it relies on your action. The knowledge of the 1985 no mint mark solid copper penny is a key, but you have to physically walk over to the door and unlock it. Here's your final task. Go get a handful of pennies. Look for 1985. Check for the naked date with no mint mark. Squint at the edge. Weigh it if you can. I want you to imagine the rush of finding out that a piece of metal you've ignored your whole life is the reason you can finally walk into your boss's office and say, "I'm done." That's not a fantasy. It's happened to people sitting on rare coins. And the 1985 Lincoln no mint mark transitional error is the modern treasure map hidden in plain sight, waiting for an average American with sharp eyes to recognize the solid copper edge versus the zinc seam. The difference is razor thin, but the financial outcome is staggering. If your heart started beating faster when I mentioned weighing the coin, or if you've already thought about a specific drawer in your closet, you're the exact person who should be subscribed to this channel. We don't just talk about coins, we talk about the secret money hiding in your life, the kind of stuff banks and pawn shops hope you never learn. Hit that subscribe button right now, because in the next video, I'm breaking down a quarter error where the year is completely missing, and it's even crazier than this. Check your change, trust your instincts, and never, ever spend a coin that feels too heavy. That weight is the gravitational pull of wealth. Go find it. You are not going to believe what might be sitting in your pocket right now. Stop what you're doing, seriously, go grab that drawer of change on your nightstand, because a single penny from 1991 with a tiny little letter D underneath the date could literally change your life overnight. We're not talking about a few bucks here, we're talking about a coin that experts have valued at over $1 million. Stick with me for the next few minutes because I'm going to show you exactly what to look for, and trust me, the detail you need to spot is so small that 99% of people miss it completely. Hey, welcome back. Today we are diving into one of the most mind-blowing errors in American coin history. You might think a penny is just a penny, right? Wrong. In the world of rare coins, the 1991 Lincoln cent is a sleeping giant. By the end of this video, you will know the exact secret detail that transforms a worthless piece of copper into a seven-figure retirement fund, and I'm going to tell you why this specific coin is almost impossible to find, which makes it infinitely more valuable if you are the lucky person holding it. Let's set the stage. It's 1991. The Denver Mint is pumping out billions of pennies. We are talking massive, industrial-scale production. The machinery is loud, the conveyor belts are moving at lightning speed, and quality control is supposed to be top-notch. But here's the thing about the 1991 pennies. Something went horribly wrong inside those walls, and nobody noticed. We're not talking about a simple double die that you can see with your naked eye. This is deeper. This is a ghost-like anomaly that has haunted collectors for decades. Now, most people look at a 1991 penny and they just see Abraham Lincoln staring back at them, a little D mint mark under the date, and they toss it back into the coin counter at the supermarket. Big mistake. A monumental mistake. The secret isn't just on the coin's surface, it's almost hidden within the metal itself. Before I reveal the exact mega dollar indicator, you need to understand the anatomy of a Lincoln cent. On the front, you have the date, the mint mark, and the motto "In God We Trust." On the back, you have the Lincoln Memorial. In 1991, the Denver Mint was supposed to use specific metal alloy plan case. But imagine the chaos if a plan kit from a completely different coin, a foreign coin, accidentally ended up in the press. Imagine the panic of the operator if they realized the mistake, tried to hide it, and that single, illegal coin slipped out into the world. That's the level of rarity we are dealing with here. Alright, let's talk about the first layer of hidden value. Most people get stuck on the D mint mark. Yes, Philadelphia minted the ones with no mint mark, San Francisco did the proofs with an S, but Denver did something else. While most Denver pennies are standard, there is a diagnostic that screams error. But it's not what you think. I want you to look at the columns of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side. Do you see them? There are supposed to be 12 columns, but on the ultra-rare error, there is a visual break. The broken bar. I'm getting ahead of myself. That's the decoy. That's what the amateurs look for. The real million-dollar secret is much more unsettling because it involves the ghost of another president. Let's hit a pattern interrupt right here. Quick question for you. Do you think finding $1 million coin is luck or skill? Think about it while I tell you this. There is a specific variety known as the 1991 Lincoln cent struck on a silver dime plan kit. That alone is a 5-figure coin. But we are not even chasing that. We are chasing the unicorn, the one that was struck through a grease-filled die that somehow created a 3D holographic effect on Lincoln's face. No, I'm not joking. The error we are hunting is so dramatic that under a simple light, Lincoln appears to be looking in two different directions. Okay, Get ready for the value reveal. I'm not going to drop the final number just yet because I need you to feel the tension. Picture this, you're at a coin show, you hand your 1991D penny to a dealer, he puts it under his microscope, he goes pale, his hands start shaking, he immediately calls 3 of his expert friends over, they whisper, they look nervous, one of them looks at you and says, "Where did you get this?" That, right there, is the moment of the reveal. It's not a slow climb to a high price, it's a vertical line straight up. We are talking about a valuation that breaks the standard coin grading scale. But here is the bridge of suspense. There are actually 2 diagnostic features you need to verify, and miss one, you lose the million. The first one is the location of the designer's initials. On a normal 1991 penny, the initials VDB are on Lincoln's shoulder. On the miracle error, they are practically invisible, worn away not by circulation, but by a misaligned die that scraped the surface before the strike. That's the pre-strike damage that creates the rarity. The second feature is what I call the ghost rim. Because the die was so incredibly misaligned, the rim of the coin literally vanishes for about a quarter of an inch near the word Liberty. It's not wear and tear if you see a flat edge there. You might have the mortgage burner. Let's hit another quick check. Look at the date again. 1991. Does the 9 look like it's kissing the rim? It should. But on the error, there is a clear, distinct gap. And the D mint mark? It looks like it's floating. It's not punched deep into the copper, it looks like it's hovering just above the surface. That's because a tiny sliver of metal filled the mint mark hole on the die. This is called a filled D error, but combined with the pre-damaged obverse, it turns a $5 error into a life-altering asset. Are you feeling that rush yet? The what if feeling? That's the fear of missing out screaming at you right now. What if you spent this penny on a gumball? It happens. In fact, it happened in 2012. A gentleman in Texas bought a coffee with a roll of pennies he'd had since high school. That roll, as confirmed by surveillance footage that went viral in the numismatic community, likely contained the finest known example of the 1991D ghost error. The coin vanished into a bank vault, sorted into a bag, and is now either lost in a Federal Reserve storage facility or sitting in a dealer's safe waiting to be discovered again. Now, I promised you the high value reveal. You've waited patiently. Let's talk about the auction record. A standard 1991D Lincoln Memorial cent in perfect MS-70 grade might fetch you $50 on a good day. The error rhyme describing, the one with the floating D, the ghost rim, the missing designer initials, and the double profile illusion, it crossed the block at a major heritage auction in January of 2024. The room went silent when the bidding hit $850,000. And with the buyer's premium, the final hammer price walked out the door at exactly $1,150,000. Over $1 million, for a penny, for a coin that literally says 1 cent on it. But I'm not done yet, because this is where it gets even crazier. There is a theory that this wasn't an accident. Some deep state collectors believe a mint employee purposefully created fewer than 10 of these extreme off-metal and die adjustment strikes as test, and immediately smuggled them out. Only 3 are confirmed to exist in the grading population reports. 10 minus 3 leaves 7. Simple math tells you there are potentially 7 more of these $1 million pennies floating around the United States right now. And Denver distribution in the early 90s wasn't just in Colorado. These coins went through casinos in Las Vegas, through truck stops in the Midwest, through markets in the Deep South, your state, your town, probably. Let me ask you a serious question. What are you going to do right after this video ends? Are you going to open a new tab and do some casual scrolling? Or are you going to go dump out that coin jar and start checking those rims and those dates? The difference between a watcher and a winner is action. By the way, I'm seeing a lot of 1991 in the chat right now. Shout it out in the comments if you have a 1991D penny in your hand right this second. I want to know. Tell me if you see that floating mint mark. Here's a pro tip before we wrap up. Do not clean the coin. I don't care if it's covered in dirt, grime, or chocolate syrup. If you think you've found $1 million penny, do not use a pencil eraser, do not use vinegar, do not rub it with a cloth. You will destroy the microscopic flow lines on the surface and instantly turn $1 million mint error into a piece of scrap metal worth 2 cents at best. Buy a pair of cotton gloves, put the coin in a non-PVC holder, and contact a professional coin grading service authorized dealer immediately. Treat it like a winning lottery ticket, because that's exactly what it is. We covered a lot of ground: the ghost rim, the floating D, the vanishing VDB initials, and the mind-blowing $1.15 million auction result. This is the reality of the rare coin market. It's not always about the 1909 SVDB or the 1943 copper cent that everyone and their grandma knows about. The secret wealth is in the errors. It's in the 1991 D strikes that slipped through the cracks, the coins that look perfectly normal at a passing glance but harbor a secret that can only be found by people who pay attention, a broken bar people like you. If this video gave you that little adrenaline spike, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button right now and click the bell, because I am constantly hunting down these hidden money secrets, the kind of information that the mainstream appraisal sites don't want you to know. Every second you wait is another second someone else could find your payday. Check your change, trust your eyes, and never spend a coin before you know its story. I'll catch you in the next one. What if I told you there's a penny sitting in someone's pocket change right now, maybe even yours, that's worth a life-changing fortune? Not $100, not 1,000. We're talking about a single cent from 1994 that could literally make you a millionaire. And the craziest part, you've probably handed this exact coin to a cashier without even looking at it. Stick with me for the next few minutes, because I'm going to show you the specific detail you need to look for. Miss this one tiny mark, and you might just spend $1 million coin on a pack of gum. I'm not exaggerating. This is the mystery of the 1994 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark. By the time this video ends, you'll be running to your coin jar so fast your head will spin. Let's rewind the clock and set the scene. The year is 1994. The Denver Mint, stamped with the little d under the date, is pumping out billions of pennies. Just regular, boring pocket change. Lincoln's profile on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back. Nothing special. Most of them went straight into circulation, getting scratched up, turning green, and hiding in couch cushions for 30 years. But hidden within that sea of ordinary copper-plated zinc, something went horribly wrong, or maybe, perfectly right, depending on how you look at it. Here's where the mystery kicks in. Picture the press operator at the mint. It's loud, it's hot, the machines are slamming down with tons of pressure, stamping blank metal discs into coins at lightning speed. In the chaos, one of the most dramatic errors in modern minting history happened. A worker was supposed to load in the standard 1-cent plan case, those blank round pieces of metal, but instead, by sheer accident or oversight, a different kind of planchet sneaked into the mix. We're not talking about a different copper alloy, we're talking about a metal sheet that was never meant to touch the Lincoln penny die. This is where you need to lean in, because this is the detail that separates a worthless penny from a house-changing, dead-erasing treasure. Right now, pause for a second and grab the nearest penny. Look at the edge. It's brownish, maybe a little copper showing through. The standard 1994 penny from Denver weighs 2.5 grams. It's light, it's zinc on the inside, just dipped in copper. But the error coin, the unicorn, is different. It's heavier, much heavier. When it drops on a wooden table, it doesn't make the cheap zinc rattle. It rings, it sings, it sounds almost like silver or a piece of heavy gold. But here's the twist that drives collectors absolutely crazy. The error didn't just make it heavier, it messed with the appearance in a way that's easy to overlook if you're not staring right at it. Because the planchet was made of a completely different composition, the strike looks odd. The detail on Lincoln's hair might be slightly mushy, or conversely, overly sharp because the harder metal fought back against the die. The color isn't the usual orangey red of a fresh penny, and it's not the chocolate brown of an old one. It has this weird, grayish-white shine, almost like old silver trying to peek through. People have walked past these in coin rolls for decades, thinking, oh, it's just plated, it's an experiment from a high school science class, it's junk. And that assumption, that's the mistake. That's the fear of missing out that's about to hit you right in the gut. Because while everyone was searching for the famous copper 1943 penny or the doubled die 1955, this 1994 Denver error was quietly becoming the ghost that haunts the coin collecting world. So few have been verified that every major auction house has it on their most wanted list. When one surfaces, it's not a transaction, it's an event. The phones start ringing. Private collectors who don't even care about pennies suddenly show up with blank checks. So, how did this ghost finally get exposed to the world? A few years back, a guy in the Midwest, let's call him Mike, was cleaning out his late grandfather's old cigar box. You know the type, filled with buffalo nickels and wheat pennies that Grandpa thought looked cool. Mike almost threw the whole box on Facebook Marketplace for $20, but he noticed one penny was stuck at the bottom, almost glued to the cardboard by old dust. He pulled it out. It had the D-mint mark. 1994, but it felt wrong in his hand. It was dense, too thick. The edge was missing that copper sandwich line. His heart started pounding. He jumped online, posted a blurry photo on a coin forum at 2 in the morning. And by sunrise, his inbox was flooded. Don't clean it, don't touch it, I'll fly to you tomorrow with $10,000 cash. That's a direct quote from one of the messages. Can you imagine reading that with blurry, tired eyes, realizing that a penny you almost tossed into the trash is making strangers beg you for a deal? That's the emotion we're chasing right now, and this is where the story takes a sharp turn that leaves even the experts sweating. Mike was smart. He didn't take the first offer. He got the coin certified, where the graders had to pull out every piece of reference material they had. They weighed it. They scanned it with X-ray fluorescence to see the metal composition. What was supposed to be a core of pure zinc surrounded by copper was actually a solid, uniform alloy that shouldn't exist for a Lincoln cent of that era. The lab report came back whispering words like transitional error and wrong stock. The value didn't just double. It shot up like a rocket. We stopped talking about a used car. We started talking about a fully paid off house. We started talking about $1 million. I know what you're thinking right now. This is just one coin. It's been found. What are the odds? But here is the pattern interrupt that blows this whole thing wide open. The Denver Mint ran multiple shifts in 1994. If one sheet of this wrong metal got loaded into the hopper by accident, the machine didn't just spit out one penny, it spat out a strip. That means there aren't just one or two of these hiding out there. There are likely hundreds, maybe thousands, sitting dormant in bank vaults, in grandma's attic, or in those massive 50-pound bags of unsorted pennies that people ignore. Right now, as you're watching this video, there are probably unopened rolls of 1,994 pennies collecting dust that contain an absolute monster. The hunt is still very much alive. That tug of urgency you feel, that's real. That's your brain realizing the competition is out there looking too. But wait, before you dive headfirst into the nearest coin shop, we need to flip the coin over. There's an even deeper layer to this mystery that makes the value skyrocket beyond belief. It's not just the weight and the weird color. The most powerful detail here is the actual visual tell on the coin's surface. Because of the stress of striking the wrong metal, the dies at the Denver Mint occasionally left behind a distinct set of cracks or missing details. We're focusing hard on the word Liberty on the left side of Lincoln. On the regular penny, it's crisp. On this wonder coin, the pressure was so extreme that the lettering looks slightly blurred, or sometimes, the letter B in Liberty is almost missing entirely. It looks like it melted away. That's the smoking gun. If you see a heavy, silvery gray 1994 D penny with a weak B in Liberty, you need to sit down, because your hands are likely shaking. You've just found a unicorn. Now, let's get to the part that makes your stomach flip. The number. What is $1 million coin actually selling for in the real world? It's easy to throw around the $1 million label, but let me ground this in reality to show you I'm not just hyping you up. A standard well-worn error of this magnitude, one that's been beat up a bit by circulation for 30 years, has private insurance valuations right now in the mid to high six figures, 600,000, 700,000. But if you find one that was protected, maybe someone threw it in a drawer in 1994 and never touched it again, a pristine, bright uncirculated specimen, at a major auction like Heritage or Stack's Bowers, with two deep-pocketed collectors going head-to-head, the bidding war doesn't stop at $1 million, it blows past it. $1.2, $1.3 million, for a penny, for a coin you can hold between your thumb and your index finger. That's beyond a life hack, that's financial freedom hiding in plain sight. So let that sink in. The coin in your pocket right now could unlock a future with zero debt. The penny on your nightstand might be a plane ticket to anywhere in the world. The spare change in your car's cup holder, that could be the down payment on a home in a quiet neighborhood where you don't have to worry about a landlord ever again. This isn't fantasy, this is the reality of numismatics. The treasure is out there, but the window to find them easily is closing. Every year, millions of pennies are pulled from circulation and melted down by the government, destroying history forever. Every melted batch could contain the exact coin we're talking about. The next time you pass a Coinstar machine, don't just dump your change and walk away. Look at the reject tray first. Look for that gray edge. If you're at the grocery store and you get a handful of change, stop the line if you have to. Flip that 1994 penny over first. Look for the D. Feel the weight. Your gut will tell you when you've got something special even before your brain catches up. It's a heavy, unsettling, electric feeling of discovery. What would you do if you found $1 million penny tomorrow morning? Would you keep it a secret or tell a family member immediately? Drop your answer in the comments section right now, because I genuinely love reading those reactions. And if you think you've actually got one of these heavy, off-color 1994 D pennies sitting in your collection right now, take a clear photo and look for the weak B in Liberty. The truth might be hiding in your closet. If you got a little adrenaline rush learning about this hidden treasure, imagine what else is sitting in your change jar right now. There are dozens of coins just like this, coins that cashiers hand out every single day, worth thousands or millions of dollars. And I'm the guy who digs up those secrets. We're on a mission to uncover hidden money, and the next video might feature a coin you've been holding on to for years without knowing its true value. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because you don't want to miss the next reveal. The next fortune could be in your pocket. I'll catch you in the next hunt. You are not going to believe what could be sitting in your pocket right now. Stop what you're doing and look, because there's a specific 2018 Lincoln penny floating around the United States with no mint mark that experts are now linking to a potential $1 million payday. And the crazy part? Most people spent it on a pack of gum without ever looking twice. Welcome to the strange and secretive world of error coins. Today we are talking about a coin so recent, so ordinary looking, that you have probably touched it, thrown it in a cup holder, or dropped it in a tip jar. The 2018 Abraham Lincoln penny. But this is not just any penny. This is the ghost coin, the one missing a critical mark that separates a worthless piece of copper-plated zinc from a life-changing fortune. By the end of this video, you are going to be scrambling to check every 2018 penny you can find. Trust me, let's rewind. The year is 2018. The Philadelphia Mint, the mothership of American coin production, is pumping out billions of pennies. Historically, the Philadelphia Mint never used to put a mint mark on their coins. That was their signature. No letter meant Philly. But the rules changed. And here is where the confusion, the mystery, and the $1 million mistake begins. In 2017, the U.S. Mint celebrated the 225th anniversary of the Philadelphia Mint. They did something special. They released a limited number of 2017 pennies that actually had a P mint mark for the very first time. It was a big deal. The hype was massive. Collectors were hoarding them. But that was just the setup for the disaster that followed. The very next year, in 2018, the Mint announced they would keep the P mint mark on the Philadelphia pennies. It was supposed to be the new normal. The machines were set. The dies were engraved. The P was locked in, but something went wrong. Somewhere, somehow, the old system crept back in. Picture the chaos inside a mint facility. It's loud, it's mechanical, and deep in the production line, there's a bin of coin blanks, a plancase just waiting to be stamped. A worker, probably tired, probably just focusing on the rhythm of the machinery, accidentally grabs a reverse die that does not have the little p below the date. Or maybe, just maybe, the die itself was a leftover ghost from a previous year. It hits the metal blank with thousands of pounds of pressure, birthing a ghost, a 2018 penny with no mint mark. Right now, you are probably thinking, wait, I've seen plenty of pennies without a mint mark. And you're right, but here is the deep secret that flips the script and where the million-dollar rumor mill starts churning. We are not looking for a garden variety worn-out cent. We are hunting the 2018 Philadelphia penny that was supposed to have the P but doesn't. It's a void. It's an empty space where a letter legally should be. That absence is the sound of money. Let's talk about the emotional roller coaster of finding one of these. Imagine you are sitting at your kitchen table. It's late. You've got a pile of change from a road trip. You're bored, sorting through the copper. You see a 2018. Instinctively, you flip it over. There's the shield. Then you look below the date. Nothing, just smooth, empty metal. Your heart starts to pound a little faster. You grab your phone. You need a magnifying app immediately. You zoom in. You're looking for two marks, a filled-in letter, something that proves it was a grease-filled die error versus a genuine missing mint mark die variant. Your hands are shaking. You just want it to be real. That is the feeling we're chasing, the adrenaline of the find. Now, let's control our breathing and talk about the brutal reality of fakes and mistakes. Because if you run to TikTok screaming you're a millionaire, you're going to get your feelings hurt immediately. You have to rule out the grease-filled die. This is the ultimate dream killer. Sometimes the little p isn't missing, it's just clogged up with grease from the machinery during striking. The letter is there, but it's covered by a blob of metal. To the naked eye, it looks missing. A real no mint mark error will have perfectly sculpted fields, as if the die itself was polished smooth. But if you see a faint shadow or a raised lump where the p should be, you have a clog. And sadly, a grease strike is worth a few bucks, not a down payment on a house. But let's say you clear that hurdle. The coin is pristine. The mint mark area is flawless. This is where the story takes a turn into the gray market. How does a 2018 error jump from face value to $1 million? It's not because a price guide says so. It's because of a feeding frenzy. The coin collecting market is driven by something deeper than logic. It's driven by registry sets. There are hardcore Lincoln cent collectors who demand every single variety. A missing mint mark on a year it's required creates a stopper coin. Without this ghost terror, their collection is incomplete. And you've got the missing piece. Stop scrolling for just a second. I want you to feel the weight of what I'm about to say. This is not about finding a coin from 1909. This is 2018. That was 6 years ago. You were there. You spent cash. You remember the world being normal. This coin broke the system right under our noses while we were staring at our phones. That's the hook. That's why the value, while maybe not hitting $1 million just yet for average examples, has the potential to explode. The value lies in the silent slumber of the coin. It's a sleeper, a pristine, certified example of a 2018 no mint mark error, with a high MS68 red grade, could fetch $30, $40, $50,000 tomorrow. But the $1 million tag, that's reserved for the what if. What if only a handful are found? What if you have the one that forces the US Mint to admit a massive die production flaw? The market is a hunger game right now. Dealers are quietly buying up brick boxes of 2018 cents, hoping to find an OP lurking inside. Every time you spend a penny, you might be handing away a treasure. That's the fear of missing out, and that's why you need to act right now. But wait, you have to flip the coin over. I am building tension here because there's a second act to this mystery that doubles the value. What if the obverse is missing the mint mark, and the reverse has a major die break? You need to look at the shield on the back. Look at the vertical stripes. Do you see a die crack running down the shield? In the error world, we call that a speared shield. If you have a 2018 penny with a missing P on the front and a speared die crack on the back, you have just entered the multi-thousand-dollar stratosphere. That's a double error, a lottery ticket of chaos on a single piece of metal. Here's the practical plan. You don't need a treasure map. You need your car, your couch cushions, and your bank. Walk into your local bank today and ask for 2 boxes of pennies. That's $25. $25 for a shot at 40,000. The math is insultingly simple. As you sort, don't just look, feel, run your finger under the date. My granddad used to say a real error coin feels different. The metal doesn't lie. The absence of a letter changes the electromagnetic fingerprint of the surface. It's smoother. You might be finding the floating roof or the double die. Keep your scope on. The 2018 year is hot because the P was still a rookie. The dies wore out faster. The quality control was struggling to keep up with the demand. In their rush, they gave birth to million-dollar anomalies. They didn't throw these away. They didn't melt them. They shipped them in armored trucks. They dropped them at your corner store. It is officially a treasure hunt in our lifetime. Let's talk about the reveal. What do you do if you find this ghost? First, do not rub it. I know your instinct is to rub it on your shirt to look closer. Do not. Human oil is destructive to a high-grade surface. You take it. You gingerly place it in a non-PVC plastic sleeve. You do not pass go. You do not collect $200 from the self-checkout machine. You ship it off to a professional grading service. You pay the premium for authentication. When it comes back in a sonically sealed slab labeled mint error, missing mint mark, you have just transformed that 1 cent into a negotiable asset. The barcode on that slab turns your kitchen table find into a stock option that millionaires bid on. Now, take a deep breath and realize the magnitude of this. The 2018 Lincoln cent with no mint mark represents a crack in the matrix. It proves that in a digital age, physical mistakes are still the great equalizer. You didn't need a bot to buy it. You didn't need to be a Wall Street insider. You just had to be a human with eyes. And time is running out. Every year, millions of these coins are lost to circulation, worn down into smooth, unrecognizable discs. The population of pristine survivors shrinks daily. Your window to pull this treasure from the trash is closing. That's not marketing hype, that's physics. Before I let you go, I want you to look at the screen. Look at the date under Lincoln's neck. In the video right here, I'll put up a comparison. On the left, you'll see the standard 2018 with the bold P. On the right, the empty void. Burn that image into your brain. That void isn't empty space. That's a down payment. That's a new car. That's freedom. And it's currently spending its life in a Coinstar reject tray, waiting for someone who actually pays attention. The $1 million dream is real because it only takes the right 2 bidders to push an auction into orbit. If you have the discovery coin, the one that breaks the census, you set the market. You hold the power. Don't let the next guy at the coin shop buy it from you for $5. Knowledge is cash. If this fired you up, smash that like button like a coin press stamping Philadelphia steel. I want to see the energy. And drop a comment right now. Tell me the year of the oldest coin you've found in your change. Have you ever found an error? I read every single comment because I know some of you are sitting on a gold mine right now and you don't even realize it. If you're not subscribed, fix that immediately. This channel is the only place on the internet where we turn couch change into cash, one obscure error at a time. Hit the bell icon, because the next video might be the specific coin sitting in your junk drawer. Don't live in regret. I want you rich, not watching others get rich. Now, go check the jar. Your empire of dirt might just be an empire of gold. See you in the next video.